CB11M Committee. We have some wonderful presentations centered around youth. We have youth presenting on the parks and some of their desires. You're going to have to excuse me 1 second, Khalid. Did you do the intros in the beginning? I have somebody who's got locked out of the school, and I get no coordinating with the custodian to get in. We thought
No problem.
So please
Okay.
go to the beginning, and then I'll just.
Perfect. No worries. Okay, everyone. So I'll just go over the ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. All right, David, so we're ready to call to order and a roll call if you're ready.
Please do. And you know, I never like to do that part anyway, so that call came at perfect timing.
No worries. Okay, I'll do the roll call. Give me 1 second.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalid.
Okay, members, so I stated earlier that there are 10 members on this committee. We need 6 in order to make quorum, okay? Rosa Diaz. Rosa. I know that she's here.
Yeah, it seemed like 3 of them jumped off and jumped back on. Maybe
she's there.
The weather.
Rosa, we'll circle back. We'll circle back.
I'm here.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Angela Donadell.
I'm here.
Thank you. David Giordano.
Present.
Thank you. John Green.
Here.
Thank you. Sage Mason.
Present.
Thank you. Claudia Perez.
Present.
Thank you. Asher Rodriguez, I think he's not here. Okay. Isaac Scott.
I'm here.
Thank you, Isaac. Russell Schuler.
Present.
Thank you. And Jason, who had requests excused earlier. So yeah, you have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. And again, once again, thank you, everybody. Forgive me for my delay, but it's again, those crises we deal with in the school and just trying to make sure everybody gets their needs met. Anyway, I want to again welcome our 2 presenters tonight. And again, as these things centered around youth, and I do want to acknowledge Asher, who's I know in between classes right now and trying to get on. Just Asher Rodriguez for their commitment to running the meetings when I couldn't during the time when I couldn't get on the Zoom meetings necessarily at time to begin them. But again, I want to commend that young person for their devotion and commitment. Not only working with my craziness for many years, but also for taking a leadership role on the spot and continue to take a leadership in our community. So Asher Rodriguez, I'll show him the tape so he could see. Anyway, once again, we want to go a little out of order tonight, and forgive us. Since we do have some kids presenting tonight, we wanted to make sure that they got on first and wouldn't have to kind of wait till a little later on in the meeting. And then following that, we may just do both presentations back to back, because I think having us all here and hearing about issues surrounding what youth are asking for in our community, and also addressing some of the real concerns around youth violence in our community as well. So, Principal Panetta, I turn it over to you. I will mute myself and enjoy the presentation.
Great. Thank you, David. David, are you able to give me status so I can share my screen?
Khalid would be able to handle that. I'm technically
So
the DJ and I have no
co-host now.
technology.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, go ahead.
1 second. Are you all able to see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we can see, we want a playground.
Oh, perfect. So thank you, everyone, for your time tonight. David, thank you for reaching out to the letter that was submitted by our student council. I don't want to take away from their presentation, but we've been on a multi-year journey to get a playground for our elementary school students to play in. A few years ago, we moved from the PS 206 building into our current building, which was built, as you'll hear from our students, as a middle school and high school. So we do not have a play structure for our students currently to play in. And they'll talk a little bit about some of the conditions that they're currently playing in order to get that outdoor play time. So without further ado, I want to introduce two members of our student council. Our student council is representative of pre-K 4 all the way through 5th grade. And we have a representative from every class in the school. But our 5th graders took the lead on the presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to them. Thank you, Alyssa and Ian.
I can't hear if anyone's speaking.
I can't either, and I was hoping if we could remove the speaker notes so we could focus on that presentation if possible.
Alyssa, whenever you're ready, you can start.
Principal Panetta, right now it looks like it's in speaker notes view. I don't know if you, there you go, perfect, all right.
Is Alyssa one of the Michael Panetta guests?
Yes, she is. I'm not sure what the technical. Ian, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Ian, would you mind reading Alyssa's part as well?
Okay.
Thank you.
They may have to unmute themselves. That's what it's saying, as opposed to us.
Alyssa, if you're on the call, just unmute yourself. Otherwise, Ian, whenever you're ready, you can get started.
We cannot hear you, Alyssa. She just put in the chat. Can anyone hear me?
Oh, Alyssa Johnson is an attendee. Okay, so that's why. I'm going to promote them to a panelist.
Okay, thank you. I was nervous there for a second.
Mhm.
No, that's why attendees can't interact. Go ahead, Alyssa.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good evening. My name is Alyssa. I'm a 5th grader at River East Elementary School. Thank you for inviting us to share our concerns and hope with you this evening.
My name is Ian. I am also a 5th grader at River East Elementary School. We're excited to tell you about what River East Student Council has been working on this school year. Our student council has a representative from every grade to pre-K to 5th grade. We have all worked with Mr. Panetta and Ms. Lacey in this presentation.
When I started at River East, our school was in the PS 206 building, and we
would
were.
you- Okay, sorry. We were seeing somebody's email. Please continue.
Oh, okay. And we were able to play. We were able to play every day on a clean and safe playground. That playground had a running track, play structure, and soccer field.
We moved to the John Roberts building. Our new school building was built as a middle and high school, so there was nowhere for us to play.
We did notice that every other elementary school on 120th Street has a playground with slides, monkey bars, swings, and other fun things.
For the last few years, we have used the big empty field behind our school to play. We can run around and use balls and other equipment, but many students get bored and want more to do during this time.
In addition to students being bored, the field is unsafe and unsanitary. There's often garbage bottles, needles, and other trash left in the field. Even worse, many people in the neighborhood walk their dog in the field and let them go to the bathroom without cleaning it up. When we go out and play, we step in dog poop and have to ask our teachers for help in cleaning it off and clothes, our shoes and clothes. That's unacceptable.
We are just asking for what every other school in our neighborhood already has. And to make it easier, we've already picked out a space for a playground. We have fenced in a space on the 120th Street that is perfect for a playground.
After talking with our principal, he said we need approximately $900,000 to pave the area and add playground equipment. We have applied for funding from the Manhattan Borough President and City Council.
We know that a playground will give us a safe space to move, play, exercise, and explore. I am graduating River East next year, but I want my little brother to play outdoors in a space that is safe and free from things that can hurt him or make him sick.
We also believe that a playground will give students more options, meaning that students may not get into arguments or fights because they are bored at recess. Our student council also looked at research that says play outdoors helps improve attention in the classroom, which means that with your help, you can make us all smarter.
Thank you again for this time to speak. We now want to share some messages from our school community with you.
You have to share the sound on your computer.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta stop sharing and then share again. There should be a button.
Playground because they was older and nobody liked play structures that much. And then we moved to this school and then we were like, why does don't have a playground? And then we noticed we needed a playground because all the other kids, because it turned into a why we don't have a playground is because when this was a long time ago, this was a high school, and we in high school kids really don't play on playground because they was older, and nobody liked play structures that much. And then we moved to this school, and then we were like, why does don't have a playground? And then we noticed we needed a playground because all the other kids, because it turned into an elementary school, all the kids never got to play when they wanted to play in the play structure. My name is Savannah and I'm in first grade, and we need more stuff to play in our field because we don't have a park and we only have balls and we can only run around, and running around takes our energy out, so we won't want to play anymore. We need something better than balls and better than just running all around. My name is Nora and I'm in third grade, and there's a lot of trash in the field and a lot of glass, and that makes it unsafe for us to play. And also there's a lot of dog poop and a lot of people step on it. My name's Serafina. I'm in second grade, and we need a playground because there's no creativity in the field. All you could do is run around in circles. Most of the balls are being sealed, so there's no creativity. We don't have any games to play. My name is Ava, and I think we should have a playground because we have a lot of conflicts and fights, and I think if we have a playground, we can have less of those because we always start play fighting and then the play fights turn into real fights because we don't have a lot of stuff to do. My name is Robert. I'm in the first grade. We need a playground structure because it's boring and why does other schools have a playground but we don't? So it's boring, but it shouldn't be boring. My name is Layla and I'm in preschool and I think we should have a playground because it's boring and we don't have things to play with. And I think we should have compost because then we can pick flowers, give them to some people we love.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate our two student council representatives, Alyssa and Ian, for doing such a fantastic job with the narration, and all our student council members who worked on this. And thank you to everyone on this panel for listening to us and giving us the platform to share with you tonight some of our concerns and hopes for our school.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to the both presenters tonight. Thank you, Principal Panetta, for bringing this attention to us. These are, these are the very things that we want to be able to advocate for, to identify as a need in our community. Just as the kids are talking about it, like, compost and garden. Yeah, garden, that's a great place to put some box gardens. So we not only playground stuff, but also could really learn about environments and taking care of space. And it really is important that we have these presentations, and particularly by the youth and the people that they most affect. And I really like the young man where he talked about, he wants to make it better for his sibling that's coming next. So it's not even just make it better for me, but making it better for our generation. And that's community, right? That's working together. We're also joined by Angel Mescain, our district leader, district manager. So welcome, Angel. Good to have you here with us as well. Strong advocate. We generally now go through a series of questions by the board members about how we can also support this, or ideas, or just thoughts that we, want to get some answers to, it, maybe how we can better support. So I will, without being too much of a win, which I generally am, I'll pass it all to our first board member, Angela. You have a question and a comment, and then we'll go to our vice chair, Asha Rodriguez.
Good evening, students. That was an amazing presentation, amazing. I know grown-ups that could not do as good a job as you all did with that presentation. I also like to hand out to the last young lady, although David picked up on it, I like the way she segued into the next ask by talking about, yeah, we need the playground, but composting would be really good too. I'm just saying. So I want to applaud you all. And then David, I guess we're going to discuss how we can be of service to these young people who are utilizing their voices in the community, expressing the things that they need. They are the beginning of the great foundation that we want to continue to build. Yay! I can't find my horn. I'd have blown it.
But, again, I think one of the most important things about presenting is that you make this ask alive, right? And as part of our district needs and budget process that we have, that we're restarting again at this moment, we love when more of the things that we'll highlight as part of our presentation, and our ask for the community and the mayoral budgets that we present is particularly these projects that we will highlight that come before us. And I think we have more success when these things are presented in the community and then also given on different levels. Now that we know that you've also, reached out to the council, and, it's our job to also advocate with them to see how we can make this funding work. I also have always been an advocate also for participatory budgeting as another way to bring attention to this process. And even if you don't win, I've seen projects get funded that were more than the project of actually what we're seeking, just because of the attention it drew and the community support as well. So I commend, first of all, as many of you know, I'm in youth development. So anytime I say we could put our youth on to show what they have learned under our care, then they teach us best what they have learned as opposed to what we teach them. So without, again, keep talking, I'll pass it off to Asher Rodriguez and then Angel. But again, commend the young people for their presentation. The ones here and also in the testimonials, really great. And again, each kid sees things differently. I love that you have a youth council that has pre-K, has a representative from the entire place. Let me be quiet, I'll mute. Go ahead, Asher.
Oh, all right. Excellent presentation, guys. You were all very well spoken, by the way. I like the fact that you had like evidence and stuff and like research that you brought to us. That's always the thing. Just this is my advice for the future. Always have something to back up what you're saying. My question is, because I actually was in that building the other day, where exactly is the space that you're looking for to put the playground, just so I can visualize it? Because I saw the picture.
So that space is on 120th Street between 2nd and 1st Avenue. It's been fenced in. We've used it as a quote unquote garden space, but it is a fenced in space that is just prime space, prime real estate for a playground.
I also have two other questions. I'm not sure if you necessarily have the answer for this now, because now I know exactly where you're talking about. I know that there's another school in the building that's a charter school. It is a middle and elementary school. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this space will be shared by both of the schools, right?
Yeah, so we're taking sort of the lead on it, but it would be HVA Harlem Village Academy is pre-K 4 through 8 school. But obviously we would share the space with them just like we do the field right now.
All right. Thank you.
Angel, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Actually, you asked my question in terms of the location of the place. So I'll just also echo the words of David and Asher in terms of congratulating the students and coming and presenting before a community board and asking, making this very detailed presentation and very detailed ask. It's super impressive. As a former kid that was presenting before community boards when I was little, it's kind of cool to be on the other side of the table. And just I don't know how much encouragement it's going to be because you're all young, but David Giordano and Asher and myself, we're all kids presenting before community boards, and look at us now. So I'm so very excited and so warmed, and we have a lot of conversations about stuff, but it's really exciting to see kids come and present on something so fundamental and so important. I cannot be more inspired, and we will, I cannot speak for the board, but you've inspired me, and we'll certainly knock on as many doors as we can to try to move this along. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the children and also the school leadership. And Dr. De La Cruz, you should be incredibly proud. That's all.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you for joining us. I know you always take real interest in a lot of these big sensitive projects that do impact our youth. Now, Jessica, you have a question or comment, please?
Yes, sorry, apologies because I'm on the bus, but I wanted to, again, congratulate all the kids. And, I think it's especially, important to hear these types of requests from kids directly, especially such eloquent students that you have at your school. And I feel like I don't have children myself, but I walk through the neighborhood and see these things, and it's easy to ignore when you're an adult, but when you know the impact that it has directly on kids, it's a really, really big deal to hear it straight from the kids. So I want to say thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I just wanted to ask what the grants were that you applied for through the Manhattan Borough President's Office and the City Council. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
No, thank you. We've applied for Reso A funding through both organizations. Last year we were awarded approximately $200,000, which is part of the ask. The frustration in the past has been that a lot of the organizations like the Manhattan Borough President or the Speaker's Office have allocated funds for playgrounds to be upgraded in the neighborhood versus like finding funds to fund the building of an entire playground structure. So I live in New Jersey. I take the PATH train every day. I walk by a school in Tribeca that got money to upgrade a playground that didn't need an upgrade, while there's kids in our community who don't have a playground at all. So that's sort of the frustration, is finding this amount of funding to build something from scratch.
Sage, did you have oh, you do, yes. Please, go ahead, Sage.
I wanted to echo everybody on the board and really thank the kids for coming and giving that amazing presentation. I thought that was fantastic. I think I would have been a little too intimidated to do something like that when I was their age. So I think that's really incredible and shows that you guys, deserve this playground probably more than anybody who's not here with one. My question, and I don't know if you guys have the answer to it, is just how many schools don't have playgrounds, especially elementary schools? Because that's, I think, awful. I can't imagine being that bored during recess. Fortunately, I had a playground. And even with the playground, there were times when I was just kind of wondering what I was supposed to do. But at least, we had an outlet to have some fun. And if there are more schools like this, I think that's just a really big problem.
Well, I'll just say, unfortunately, between the committee that Jessica chairs and our committee, we have too many presentations where we do have parks, but some of them do not even meet the needs. And we had a presentation a few months ago in regards to another playground. And, kids need play, right? And I think we've heard that. You just said, Sage, it's an outlet. Recess is a part of school. And even now, as I've been in the school for the last 5 years, I have a different appreciation for just recess where you let kids just play, as opposed to structured activity as well in physical fitness, right? Kids need that outlet where I'm going to go play basketball for a little while, but then I'm going to go run over here and play tag with this group. And then, when I'm going to play volleyball, or I'm just going to sit down and just talk to another. And that is a part of social emotional learning, because kids are learning to negotiate, and like they said, if they had all the activities, they can resolve some of the conflicts. So conflicts wouldn't arise. So recess is an equal part of a day's education for kids, and they need that outlet so that they can sit and function for the next 6 hours in other classes or programs. And some of our kids, even with us, it's a long day when I'm with the kid and I see them from 8 in the morning, and we're with them till 6 at night when parents pick them up, and those are the needs parents have as well. So I think, one of the things you mentioned, Sage, is maybe, and this is again some of the work that we could work together in collaboration with the Environment, Open Space, and Parks. Oh God, I always get that acronym. That we really look at, and that's what we've been doing. Part of what Jessica's mission on the committee has been is that we go out and visit parks in the summer and on the weekends and see which ones and how they're used and how we better can use them. And it's really something that this committee, it's funny because some of us are on that committee too. So sometimes we forget that we should reach out to the other members to also support these things. And that's why I think it was important for Jessica to be here as well tonight. Again, because some of these parks are Parks Department parks, and they have a different responsibility to them, And like I said, maybe, Principal Panetta, we have to piecemeal this. That's why I said, maybe you're not asking for the whole 900,000 in participatory budgeting, where you would take the one project in the community, which wouldn't be funded necessarily, but break up a smaller part and get a piece of the pie, and how we can help. So we, for us, we'll add it to the community board and as part of our district needs and budget process that we go through. But we also have to work together to find other avenues. And there's a few CEC members on this call, not just Rosa, so I don't want to just put it on Rosa as well. But, again, we need to work together to make kids need play. right? Kids need mathematics. They need all these things. They need all these things, and we need to ensure that they get them. And play is an equal part of their development. Angel, you have your hand up again. I don't know.
I wanted to
Yeah,
respond to that.
Go ahead.
In addition, maybe a solution would be trying to incentivize a private funding for a playground. The next person that tries to come in and build like a big luxury condo, just say, hey, you can do that as long as you have X amount of affordable housing and low income housing, and also, contribute to this playground. I think that would be one avenue.
Angel, and then we have a young person. I'm not sure the young person, they're all Michael.
Just wanted to mention, it's a very short turnaround, but the city council is currently having its hearings on the preliminary budget, and tomorrow morning happens to be the hearing on the education committee. It's going to hold their hearings on Department of Education at 9 o'clock and School Construction Authority at 1 o'clock, and then public comments at 2. So if anyone's so inclined and can turn around some really quick testimony, there's an opportunity then. And to the point about soliciting private donations, it's always a good idea. It's not always the easiest one to pull off, but we can certainly extend the hand and raise it to folks that are developing, ideally in proximity to that, to the proposed playground. I can think of a project that's about to go into Europe, actually a block away. So maybe we'll knock on that door and see what the possibilities are for any monetary contributions.
Thanks, Angel. And Michael Panetta, who has the hand up, the young person, do you have a question for us or your comment? Oh, we were looking for a comment. Angela, you're next. Go ahead, please.
So in alignment with what I believe, okay, let her go because she's on court. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Did Ayala say yes to give our school money?
I wouldn't know. Does somebody here know?
Principal Panetta, did they commit?
We applied for it. We don't know yet.
So we have to wait until we hear, sweetheart. But that was a wonderful question. Something to think about. So what I was going to suggest was, you did such a lovely presentation, and I believe in the power of beautiful children and the ability to write a letter to maybe somebody that can do the work, who might be willing as a charitable contribution to donate that so you don't need as much money. Tying it into public housing being constructed could be a bad situation because we might not get something in terms of needed housing, but you have a space. You just need a cement guy to concrete it. You need somebody that can do the things that are the heavy lifts. And I think that there is kindness in many people's hearts, that if parents in that beautiful presentation with the video was sent around to construction owners, that somebody would make a donation or donate the piping for the playground. Maybe somebody could donate the concrete for the paving. Somebody else could donate the plaster paving that goes over the concrete so that the children are safe. That's just thinking outside the box. It can't hurt to ask. If you don't ask, it's no. But if you ask, you got a chance that you might get it. Unless there is some type of rule that does not allow the school to ask for money. Or that's why I said the students, because there can't be a rule about the parents and the students asking for something. So Christy, I'm gonna throw that to you. Do you know?
Yes, I do. Actually, we've had this issue before where we just have to be, there's a difference between donations and then like construction and liability, license, insurance. We can't change, like, I'll give you an example. We had a school that wanted to change their theater, and we had to make sure that we had it had to be vetted by New York City Public Schools. So getting getting donations, like, and Principal Panetta, we've already sought out donations and we can do that process, but when it comes to the physical labor, we just have to make sure that, that we have it vetted by DOE just for liability reasons.
I agree. Have them vetted. If somebody is willing to make that donation, let them be
Yes.
vetted. Let
Yes.
them be vetted. And then the children will get what they need. That's ultimately the goal. If they genuinely care enough to possibly do it, then the vetting process is not going to be a problem for them. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Well, I think like Angel said, sometimes we often ask and sometimes it's a challenge to get those private donations as well. But I think, sometimes you got to try every angle to get, and you never know what piece of the puzzle may be the last piece that puts it all together. So, I would say, although we've all helped them brainstorm tonight, how do we also help reach out to our contacts and networks and explore some of those suggestions people were saying? Or are there other people on the board, that also may have those kind of contacts with developers that, may be affordable. Maybe Children's Aid can advocate with our own developer as we just completed our process and looking to rebuild our building up on 101st as well. Give back to the community. You got a big thing that you're going to benefit from, we just want to secure the future. Alyssa, you have your hand raised as well. And again, thank you for your presentation. It was amazing.
Thank you. I got a lot of really nice comments in the chat about the presentation, and I would just like to say that I really like the idea of having a playground because, like Ian, my sister, little sister, she's in kindergarten. She goes to River East, and she has a lot of energy, but I can think of her on the field just running around. So it would be really nice to see her playing in a playground with all her friends and talking and having fun.
You are an amazing young person, and as Angel has said, myself, himself, and Asher. I first met Asher when Asher was 9 years old, and Asher's been an advocate ever since, and vice chair of the Youth and Education Committee. Alyssa, I see you one day, and the young man that presented also being young leaders in the community, and any way that we can help support you, we will try our hardest to help support getting you a playground and for the future children that attend the school. Principal Panetta, this was an amazing presentation. I was just getting a hold of Valletta, as Dr. Christie's always feeling out ways that maybe something could happen. And it was like, yeah, we have to at least get them before the board and include this in our process as well as a real need in our community. Not just this playground, but so many more. And I think that speaks to a larger need in our community. One that centers around Central Park and Randall's Island. I mean, we got park. So I think we need to have playgrounds in our community that definitely meet the needs of our children. Ask Jacob, I got to find the wire because my computer may die out here. I haven't hooked it up to it.
Oh, okay. Are we continuing? Is that what we're doing?
If there are any other questions, I know that they are looking for a letter of support. So I don't want to.
We gotta take a vote for that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so why don't you go ahead and take us?
All right.
It looks like one of the attendees has a hand raised as well.
Let me see if I can see that. Okay. All right. Diana Barrios. Hold up. Let me see if I can. Oh, someone already got to. You, Diana Barrios, you could.
Yes. Can you see me?
No, it's just audio.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to say that I'm an abuela, a grandmother for the school. I'm also on the county committee and I would like to help. And I just want to say that they do need a playground, but in the meantime, because that's going to take a very long time to develop the playground, that yard that they have that they play in, that's a public space. We need to help them get, how can we help them who can we reach out to make sure that's a safe space? Because we find needles in most of these parks and playgrounds, poop, broken glass, and we're always worried with my granddaughter and the other kids that they're going to get hurt.
Yeah, that's a legit concern. I think we discussed this a couple months ago
Oh.
with another playground, and we were trying to increase. I think it was Peter Min. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah.
Kia Wade, I know, confronted, asked Gibbs about it.
Yeah, I think someone could correct me if I'm wrong. That's sanitation and maybe even like the police to patrol that
Actually,
area.
Dr. Christie wants to say something,
Oh,
but this is
okay.
Yeah. So,
Is
I
this
mean,
up?
thank you so much for lifting that. And I know that like the needle care hotline, we can always, so I just want to say that's one, and I'll resend it with all of our leaders, but needle care hotline is for any of the needles. It's actually faster than using the 311 if we go through the needle care hotline. For sanitation and so forth, when it's New York City Parks and Rec, we have to do that. If we want more youth community officers, we'll bring it up in our we have weekly check-ins with the 25th Police Precinct and our 23rd Police Precinct. And we can definitely do that. But from my understanding, the police do not clean up. They could be a presence if we're concerned about different safety concerns, but there's different moving parts, but we can definitely follow up on that to address it.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like the police, if they're patrolling the park during like the open hours.
They usually patrol, well, they can only patrol, we only have a limited amount. They patrol when we request. So like I know like arrival and dismissal in the area, that they're in certain school communities where we know, and we can actually request for them if there's certain hours that we're noticing that there's either people or unsafe. If people feel that there's a certain time period, it's better for us to give them a specific window.
All right.
Yeah.
I was saying like after school is what I was talking about. Like, is that area open to the public after school?
Yes, it
I'm
is.
guessing, yeah. That's yeah.
Yes.
We
We'll
can,
look more
if
into
there's,
that
again, if
because
there's a time frame, it just helps us. If there's
yeah.
a specific time frame that we're noticing, I'm just telling you from the ongoing conversations, because that's what the police is going to ask me.
Yeah.
I can't just say, evening, they're going to say, well, what time in the evening? So the more data that we have or
Yeah.
information, or even if it's just the request, if we're saying like 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 9, I can definitely make the request. And I will share that it was even lifted in our CB11 meeting as well. And they've been so responsive to our request.
And Christy, if I can just clarify, the biggest concern really is in the warmer months when we come back, especially after a weekend. It looks like just party central in that schoolyard with liquor bottles and other, barbecue type things just strewn about. The biggest problem right now is people take their dogs in there, let them go to the bathroom and just leave. And the field is littered with just dog feces. We actually have to go around and put cones over it so that the kids don't get into it. And obviously, like you saw in the pictures, like we don't get everything, but it is the biggest problem is the kids right now stepping in people's dogs' business that is not cleaned up.
Who actually is responsible for this space? I guess that's one question.
The Parks Department is, so they're aware of it. We've called 311, we've reached out to them. It gets better for a little bit, but it would need to be maintained on an ongoing basis. And the other benefit of having a playground on our school grounds is we would be responsible for cleaning and maintaining it versus like this is the park space. So our custodial staff is not necessarily required to go out there and clean that space.
Is Jessica Elliott still on? Because she's our chair of environment, open space, and parks, and she might have the answers to some of. Because it gets complicated. I've noticed when it's the overlap of DOE and parks.
Well, and the DOE, like Mike said, if it's a New York City Parks property, our custodians cannot, they're not supposed to be cleaning their property.
It is a challenge and it's overlapped. This particular issue, I mean, the dog poop is one horrible part of this, but the needles and that is overlapped now into several committees in the entire board as it touches on, needle exchange and giving things out and getting clean needles but then people go out and use the needles in the community and dump them. And it's been a problem in several parks in the community.
It's becoming a district-wide problem with most of the schools I've noticed that have like the parks overlap, like where they're using park spaces. So I think this is just something that needs to be brought up to parks in general because it's a district-wide issue. It's not just one place anymore. Gina has had her hand up for a while, and then I will go to Rosa.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Parks and Rec, they have been very instrumental in helping out, especially at Fred Moore, PS 133, which is Community Board 11. So the principal had done her due diligence, reached out to Parks and Rec, and they have closed the park and make sure that it's closed, early in the morning, in the evening. But they also make sure that the maintenance comes through before the children come to school in the morning. And in the evening, they try to, do a little cleanup and they lock the park. So to request to have the park locked at a certain time before they clean, after they clean it, and then to lock it for the entire evening, that way, the public is less likely to try to enter unless they're, climbing over the fence or something to that nature, which is a little bit extreme, even though I know that it does happen. But Parks and Rec is definitely the way to go, and to have the principal to said school to have that conversation and list all the reasons why.
What?
Turn your
I can't hear what you're saying.
here.
Hello?
You can go ahead, Gina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that has been instrumental. So that's what, I would suggest in addition to, getting the parents to utilize their local officials and reach out to them and get other community partners involved, because Greater Harlem is coalition is, very instrumental in that cleanup process as well. But contact, the district leader to, that district and, get them involved in that process with the city council person and the state senate and assembly. I mean, it has to start somewhere, and having parent participation, even with the grassroots process of petitioning, makes all of this happen for us to have a cleaner, safer, New York for, our children and our adults as a whole. So one city is like thriving, to their greatest potential of safety, public safety as well. That's it.
Go ahead, Rosa, and then we want to move.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to express how amazing the presentation was. I know that we, as a district, truly strive for our kids to express themselves, to uplift their voices in every single of our meetings. We have our youth presentations, and we have videos presentations done by the youth. We as a district, as a community education council, didn't want, to hear the educators tell us how was their school rather than the students telling us how was their school on their perspective. Two, I was just going to say the same thing, Gina, about I believe in another district, don't mark my words, but in another district, what they did was they reached out to the New York City parks
and they locked a time from like in the morning all the way to the afternoon, and then clean up, and then till the next day. So what I'm gonna do I'm gonna draft a letter with CEC 4 and District 4 and see how we can involve all our assemblymen, district leaders, and everything that Gina just said, to see how we can support not just one school, but all of our schools. We want all of our schools, playgrounds, and everywhere our children walk to be clean, and also to beautify our East Harlem community, you know, not just for because Principal Panetta is here, right? But all our schools. And I do thank you, Principal Panetta, for raising this problem, because it's a problem, okay? So that will be coming from District 4 CEC, just in case. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. And again, thank you, Principal Panetta and the youth that presented. And Dr. Christie, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just thank you to everyone, and we have to continue to lift our concerns. I'm going to send out an email right now. I don't have the list of the David, you can, or Rosa, you can share it, or Xavier with the Community Board 11, but just so that you know that I've shared the contacts with all of the school leaders, and also asking them to reach out directly if they need additional support, because the only way we can escalate is if people continue to lift. So like, I know that things have been better in certain playgrounds when we've advocated, but as Principal Panetta, or when I say playgrounds, outdoor space. So I just want to clarify, a lot of times there is confusion in our community because a lot of our schools use New York City playgrounds as their playground, or like their parks and rec. And so, you know, I just want to thank everyone for that clarity between what is actually a New York City Public Schools playground and what is a New York City Parks and Rec. However, I just wanted to say that we will continue to advocate for our schools in collaboration with each other and continue to lift and elevate. As Principal Panetta shared, a lot of times when we bring up a concern, it'll be good for a while, right? And then things will fall back, right? And so we just have to continue to express our concerns and keep working together. So I just wanted to feel free to share my email if you need to with the Community Board 11, just so that they know that we'll continue to support all of our schools, as Rosa said, because it's not just River East. There are a lot of, it's all over the district.
Absolutely. And Dr. Christie, you're right. You can't let them die or be the moment. It has to be, you know, these things require time. And as somebody said, it still takes time once you even get all the funding to actually get it built and done and completed. I know I'm on year 5 and I still got a whole building up the hill that will be torn down very quickly. So I do understand, you know, but I admire young people that come with, who themselves will not benefit, but are opening the door so the children that come after them will be able to have that playground in a safe environment with equipment that's appropriate for their age. So with all said, the River East Elementary is asking for a letter of support. Do I have a motion to write a letter of support and seeking funding, in support of them seeking funding? Rosa, is that a yes? So you're supposed to raise your hands. Rosa's raising thumbs up. I got a motion by Rosa. Is there anybody second the motion?
I'll second it, Claudia Perez.
Thank you, Claudia. Claudia, thank you. So we have a second by Claudia. Can we please read the roll call, please? Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. Rosa Diaz,
Present, cannot vote.
for a vote. We're calling names per vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Angela Donadell,
Yes.
thank you. David Giordano,
Yes.
thank you. John Green,
Aye.
thank you. Sage Mason,
Aye.
thank you. Claudia Perez,
Yes.
thank you. Asher Rodriguez,
Yes.
thank you. Isaac Scott. Is Isaac still with us? Hey, Isaac, you're muted if you're. Okay, I'll circle back. Russell Schuler,
Yes.
thank you. Jason Wu is excused.
Isaac Scott is yes. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good, Isaac. Thank you. It's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you, Khalid, and thank you again, Principal Panetta, for raising this. No, thank you, youth, young people, for raising a concern in your community. You know, again, very quickly, one of the things I do want to promote is young people being in these leadership roles, having that forum. Go everywhere you can to have these young people speak to get this project done. And we will get this letter of support. Just so you know, the process, and young people, the process is now that we, as a committee, it will go before, when we have full board, it will go before the full board, and then we will vote on the full board. With the full board support, then the letter will go out. And it will go out to all the elected officials that have already, you've applied through the grant, as well as everybody else. And anybody else you want us to send it to, please include. Again, continue to educate our young people how to be leaders in their community and go through a process. It was about 2010 when a group of kids from East Harlem Center said there needs to be a traffic light on 101st Street. And they did the same process. They met with the elected officials, wrote letters of support. DOT actually, they presented to the Youth and Education. DOT came out and said they're going to do an investigation. They did a yearly investigation. And if you notice now, there is a traffic light on 101st Street on 3rd Avenue. And that was due to the advocacy of young people like yourself. So you can implement change. You're doing it the right way. Unfortunately, it's a patient process sometimes and a frustrating one as we go through the process, but stick with it and we will be there with you. Thank you again.
I think Xavier has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I always need help managing these things. I get lost in the squares. Thanks, Sage. Xavier, please, our chair.
Hey, David, don't worry. You and I both. You got some awesome advocates in the room, and to the youth, I was floored. I just love that presentation and the advocacy, and I just want to echo David's point that you're doing it, and you're leaning in, and you're actually advocating for yourself. You're taking control of your fate, and I think that's just you keep doing that. Learn now that, and to the point of patience, I've got a 6-year-old, 9-year-old, and I tell them the same thing. You just got to be patient. Things will come in, and you're going through the process. So just thank you for being here in our space and presenting. And thank you, David, Asher, and the entire Youth and Education Committee. One thing I did want to say to Dr. Christy De La Cruz, our superintendent, who is so ingratiating and has invited the entire board whenever they want to visit a school to reach out. I want to say is that, again, I implore all the members of this committee, as well as the entire board, please go visit our schools. When it comes to our statement of district needs and budget, and David, thank you for calling that out. That was a great segue in talking about our process. Now is the time to take the bite of the apple. And I think it's very important. I just want to do a little sidestep of how we advocate for our schools, and we're dealing with challenges with charter versus public. I took a tour of Mosaic this past Friday. David, I talked to you about it. I think with this presentation now, Mosaic, all of them really get into the weeds and explore and see what's happening in the neighborhood. And I appreciate all the parents, all the youth. And I just welcome you to get involved now, because this is what informs us. We represent you. Not our own interests, not any of that. We may, I may be a parent and I may have kids in school, but it's different. You're advocating for yourself, and we are informed by your participation. So thank you to the parents. Thank you to the youth, especially Dr. Christy De La Cruz, a legend in her own time. And David, your leadership, and everyone else on this committee. Have a good night. God bless, and thank you.
David, if I may, can I do like one final little comment before we go? So this is most specifically for the kids, because I was doing this not that long ago. And the 5th graders, I know that they said that they're graduating and stuff like that. And it's going to take years probably for you to see like your work pay off, but just know it will eventually pay off, even if you're not there anymore. There's stuff that I like walk around the neighborhood now and I see happening that was starting when I was your age. So just don't stop. So yeah, that's it. You on mute, David.
No, I'm trying to unmute. I think that mouse is somewhere else. But anyway, once again, thank you. We do need to continue. Anytime, youth need to come present to us, we always look forward and with open arms. Principal Panetta, thank you again. So as we continue on, we do have another presentation, and we are, again, just doing things in reverse order tonight. Kai Smith, please, from Graphics Youth Gun Violence Prevention Program. The floor is yours, and we thank you for being patient with us.
Yeah, it's not a problem, you guys. It's a little tired. It's been a very interesting day. We had two shootings. We had a shooting right outside of Martin Luther King High School, where the child that was shot ran back into the school, and it's a shooting right on 128th Street and Madison Avenue. So yes, it's been a lot. So anyway, thank you guys for having me. This is probably like the second time that I've done this presentation. So I'm Kai. I am the founding executive director of Gang Diversion, Reentry, and Absent Fathers Intervention Clinical Services, also known as Graphics. Graphics is the nation's first and only 4-tier socio-emotional, culturally responsive, trauma-informed prevention and intervention program. The 4 tiers are: we provide work in communities, we provide work in schools, we provide work in institutions, and the wraparound service in the home. We were established in 2002. We are vendors to all of NYC government. We've done works in 15 schools, 16 public-private partnerships. I employ about 25 clinicians, about 20 LMSWs and about 5 LCSWs and a couple of PhDs. My program has, under the umbrella of Graphics, there are 100 sub-level trainings. And so when you play around with the words, each sub-level training that we offer is called the program, but it's not really a program because it's one program and everything comes under that umbrella. From 2010 to 2018, we've had a 70% decrease in LTA. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with school acronyms, but LTA stands for long-term absence. We've had a 97% decrease in violence and a 20% increase in grades. So Graphics is the only program in the nation, and I say this because many individuals have tried to steal what we've been able to produce and have failed. So we are the only program in the nation that has taken anger management, anger replacement therapy, gang diversion, curriculumized it. We have a textbook, we have a workbook, and it's in middle schools and high schools as a 2-credit elective. When you complete the course, you receive 2 credits either toward graduation or 2 credits toward being promoted to the following grade. As I said, we've been doing this since 2002 here in the city. We service New York City, well, the 5 boroughs of New York, Jackson, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and we're in the process of doing some contract works with Buffalo school systems and Syracuse school systems. And I'm going to make this really, really short because I think that the way that individuals walk away from a presentation empowered to make the best decision for themselves or for the organizations that they represent is if they're able to ask questions. So I'm really light on presentation and really heavy on Q&A. So you know, this is a labor of, it's sort of like a labor of love for me, because, you know, as I said to the Public Safety Committee, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5, no, actually I went to caucus, so it was maybe about a week ago. So I came to CB11 to do this presentation just to get the letter of request on you guys stationery, because it's something that my grandmother would have wanted me to get. I really, and this is no, anyone that knows me knows my superpowers. My superpowers are honesty, vulnerability, and humility. So this comment that I'm getting ready to say, it is, I say this with every fiber of humility in me. I don't need what I'm asking you for, because the work is going to get done regardless. I'm doing it because it's something that I know would make my grandmother smile. I lost my grandmother 3 years ago. And I'm doing it because from 1960 to 2016, my grandmother raised 5 generations of children in 230 East 102nd Apartment 9C. So I've lived on the East Side all of my life. I am one of the formerly incarcerated. In the 80s and the 90s. I am an individual that went to the Midwest with drug money to buy hundreds of pistols, and I brought them back and I sold them, and then it turned into kilos of cocaine. And so I participated very, very, very heavily participated in the decay of Spanish Harlem. And so my reward for that was doing 16 years of prison. I did 9 years in New York, 5 years in Virginia, and 2 years in South Carolina. I have 6 felonies. When I came home in 2002, as opposed to standing on a soapbox and blaming everyone else, white people did this and society did this, and I went to school. And today I have 6 felonies, but I have almost 6 college degrees today. After I finish law school, I'll have 6 college degrees. MBA, MPA, blah, 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 blah. So this document, for me, my request of you guys, and pardon me for turning my face, I have 3 screens, so I'm looking at the middle screen. I'm requesting, so first and foremost, the most popular program, the most popular training that my company offers, the one that 90% of principals want to use in their schools. I'm now interested in providing this service to children from the community free of charge. And I can't financially absorb the hit. So I'm coming to each of this community boards to make this presentation to say, this is who I am. This is what I've done over the course of the last 20 years. And if you're interested in having something that looks like this in the community for community residents, we can partner and we can put our heads together and do something that makes sense. And the program that I'm talking about, it's called Young Entrepreneur. So my program gets kids out of gangs, graduate middle school, graduate high school, and become business owners. We're the only program in the nation. We do this via education and entrepreneurialism, right? While everyone else that's in this work has a megaphone, a bullhorn, a banner, and they're marching down streets. When Gary Slutkin first introduced gun violence as a public health crisis, I didn't agree with it from the beginning. I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was going to work. I still don't think it works. I think they're adding a lot of weight to the numbers to make them look the way that, that's the whole another story. So for the past 20 years, we've contracted with schools, and we go into schools, we provide a customized service for each school. And we help schools with their most behaviorally challenged kids. I'm now looking to bring this program, to bring this course into the community and offer it free of charge in hopes that the same interests that the drivers in schools, the drivers of bullying and the drivers of violence are very interested in this course when it's in schools. So I'm hoping that if it's offered in the community, it will attract the drivers of the bullying and the violence in the community. And from you guys, I need space promotion, a letter of promotion, and B2B introduction. Space looks like 2 afternoons a week. It'll be run after school because I don't want to keep them out late. I came up in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And although I did a lot of time in prison, one of the highlights of my life was the boys club, the boys club that was on 112th Street. Right, that was my borderline. My grandmother would say, if anybody tells me that they saw you on 113th Street, your ass belonged to me. From 102nd Street to 113th Street, 112th Street, here's a token to get on the bus there, and here's a token to get on the bus back home. The bus will let you right out downstairs. So that was mine. So I need a space, you guys. I need a space 2 afternoons a week, preferably from after school time to about 6. And I'm feeling like if I can attract the drivers of community violence into this program, then we can realize a decrease in the violence, in the gun violence that we have been seeing for the last 40 years, right? In between May and June and the first week of September, like I sat through a CompStat meeting a couple of weeks ago. In between May and September, while right now the shooting numbers are extremely low, but everyone on this board knows in between May and the last week of August, those numbers are going to skyrocket because those are the summer months. So we're hoping that we can attract the drivers of violence into this program, because I feel like, well, I don't feel, the independent research that we've done inside of schools leads me to believe that if the drivers of violence are preoccupied doing something, then they're not in the space in the street where they can produce violence. Promotion, we request that the board aggressively both advertise our program in each of its promotional materials. Some community boards have newsletters, email blasts, and things of that nature. 2 or 3 community boards have podcasts. So we're requesting now cross promotion. The letter of support. We're requesting that a letter of support be signed by the chair and by whichever committees that we're falling under. And the reason why our letter of support has to be specific, because for the last 21 years, we have yet to receive a single penny of funding from any elected official, city, state government. Everything that we do with the city is a work for hire. So I've run this program and have secured this evidence-based data out of my pocket for the last 21 years. So our letter of support needs to specifically look like something that will empower us to go to the next level. I'm producing a package, and that package looks like something that will be presented to the United States Department of Justice, so that in hopes of having the model for this program replicated at the national level. And B2B introduction. I know community boards has a lot of relationships with businesses, business improvement districts, and things of that nature. We are requesting a specific introduction to those business owners, because I'm eager to measure how many businesses. In the public safety meeting that I sat in for Community Board 11, there were a significant number of small businesses in Community Board 11 that have been identified as selling illegal marijuana to children. So on the opposite end of the spectrum of that, your B2B introduction between my organization and businesses in the community will give me the opportunity to approach each of the business owners and have a conversation to see how many businesses in our community actually support reducing gun violence in the communities that they extract money out of. And most of them take money out of the neighborhood. So it's not a request to ask those businesses for funding, because they don't have money. But it's just to measure how many businesses in the community will say, you know what, we'll take this sticker and put it in our window, or we will, sit down, come to a community board meeting and partner with you and NYPD, so that we may, purchase an extra camera to put over our door. Something needs to be done about the random gun violence that's going on in our city. And so, yeah, that's it. Like, you know, I'm an open book, man. I think everything about me is online with the exception of my social security number. So you can ask me whatever questions you want. I won't be offended. In order for me to get from where I was to where I am right now, I had to be tried by fire. So I'm available for whatever questions you have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Scott Smith. Thank you for your presentation. I went to Martin Luther King High School, so that hit me right there. Today, because of the shootings in East Harlem, we had a school lockdown as well. And, you know, I'll just share, sometimes that affects others also indirectly. Unfortunately, the school lockdown occurred during the time we have a kid that attends another school in another borough that comes to the after school program out of the school I work and could not get access to the school and created a pickup dilemma. So, you know, even where the violence is indirect, it impacts our community, where we had a child that we had to find out how to get picked up by mom because they couldn't be dropped off.
Yeah.
Too often, I unfortunately escaped doing time for some of the behaviors I did as a young person, and coming to work with Children's Aid at 18 kind of kept me focused on keeping other people correct. And although I still wasn't perfect, it helped keep me in a line. So I had some supports that helped me. And I don't know if you know, I also work with Children's Aid Society. So my life has been devoted for 43 years trying to help young people and empower them to reach their potential, their goals. If I was waiting on that center to be built up the hill, I would definitely say, yo, come right in right now. I give you 2 days a week. I don't have that control in the DOE building, but it's something that we can explore as well.
Right.
You did say questions was your thing, so I'm not going to take this up. Sage had his hand up. I'll let him go and let the committee, and then, you know, we'll have a conversation. Sage, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for coming. I am a fellow alum of the Boys Club, and I know how how beneficial these sorts of things can be for the community. And my mom similarly, wouldn't let me go certain places outside of a certain radius of the Boys Club. And I really value these sorts of programs. My question, I guess I have a couple of questions. One is, for the past 21 years, how have you solved these like space and promotions? Is what you are proposing different from one in the past? And why hasn't there been a community letter 21 years? And then my second question is sort of a multi-parter, and that's just how many schools have you worked with and how many students have come through your program?
So I didn't really, and I don't know if anyone else shared this experience. I didn't really get the crux of the first part of the question, but so we've had the opportunity to provide services to 15 schools and 16 public-private partnerships. And the public-private partnerships looks like us going in to do professional development training. And you have to keep in mind, while most individuals focus on the first 2 words of the acronym, gang diversion, we are additionally a reentry program and an absentee father program. So it's gang diversion, reentry, and absent fathers intervention clinical services. So we've done quite a bit of work. So 15 schools, 16 public-private partnerships. I've probably had about 1,000 kids come through my program, have experience. I probably had about 1,000 kids experience the program. It all comes down to, and this is one of the fights that I have, one of my continued fights. So with programs like mine, each year we have to go out and meet with school principals and repitch the program so that they can bring us in, and the principal has to identify the funding to pay us out of his or her budget, right? And so we do presentations to allow school leaders to see Let me take a step or two back. In 1981, when Honda first came out, Guinness Book of World Records, they are accredited with the fastest television, the quickest television commercial in history. When they first came out, their first car was the Accord. The commercial came on, the car said, zoom, it got into the screen, and it said, Honda, the car that sells itself, and the commercial went off. The whole commercial may have been 10 seconds. And so that's my motto. My motto is graphics is the program that sells itself. And how do we sell ourselves? We go into schools and we challenge the principal to identify 25 of the worst in the building. We specifically target the students that the teachers are afraid of, that we target those. A teacher that has 25 or 30 kids in a class has to focus so much time in managing the behavior of the 5 that are being disruptive, they lose the other 20 or lose the other 25. My program was designed to go into each class, extract the problematic children out of that class, put them in their own cohort, take the lesson plans from each of the teachers, gel it with our lesson plan. Now, I did say in the beginning, we operate on a curriculum basis. We have a curriculum, we have a syllabus. Each student receives a textbook that I wrote. Each student receives a workbook. And when students complete the course, they receive 2 credits. If they're high school, under the auspices of credit recovery, they receive 2 credits toward being advanced to the following grade. We are on the line with Common Core, pivots, next generation learning, blah, 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 blah. So funding comes down to a principal having the funds in his or her budget to bring us in. And most times what we hear is, Dr. Kai, I have the money, but I need to upgrade my science lab, my STEM lab, or I need to upgrade some stuff in my library. And I feel like a principal shouldn't have to make a choice between a program that's going to keep children safe or the STEM library or anything else that the students may need in the school. And that's unfortunately where we are right now. I hope that answers the question.
That's a very similar to many of the problems our schools and principals deal with on so many levels, and why not every school has technology that should be at the core of the new millennium and not the last one. Rosa, your hand is up, and then we'll go to Isaac.
Yeah, thank you. I was kind of like bothered a little bit when you mentioned that you target kids, the problematic kids. Is just my personal opinion. I wanted to have an offsite conversation and invite you to the East Harlem Community Partnership monthly meeting next week on Wednesday to see how your program works and how you can use our space in 111th and Madison. I will put my information down in the chat. Also, I did not hear if you were providing some type of social, emotional, or mental support for these children.
So we have, and again, tapping into my superpowers: humility, honesty, transparency, vulnerability. You can go on my website and you can see each of my staff members' names. You can see their educational credentials. You can see the schools that we've been in. You can see the public-private partnerships that we've had. So here's the thing, right? I sit in a very unique position, Ms. Diaz. The position that I sit in is one that's so unique that I'm this close to having my PhD put in my hand and then moving on from there to a JD. Once I secure that, I would be the only person in the United States of America that has done the amount of time that I've done in prison to come home and then get the amount of education that I have. I say that to say this. Unlike the overwhelming majority of people that I've come in contact with in government and in schools, I don't coddle kids. I simply abhor, I hate it to the core of my being when I come into contact with people And they say, these kids are not bad. They're not in the gang. They're just, they're just, but when the bullet comes out of the gun, it doesn't care who's in the gang. It doesn't care who gets good grades. It doesn't care who comes to school. It doesn't care it doesn't care about any of that. When the bullet comes out of the gun, it doesn't care about any of that. So if it walked like a duck, it looked like a duck, it moved like a duck, and it lived with other ducks, it's not a pigeon, right? And that's one of the realities when you look at our mission statement and our vision statement. Everything that we've done over the course of the last 21 years is in a line with everything that we've been able to produce and deliver. I am a stickler, and I hate it when people confuse outcomes with outputs. Oh, I work so hard and I work so hard. Those are outputs. The result at the end of the hard work is the outcome, right? And so yes, I target kids. And the reason why I target kids, Ms. Diaz, is because when I meet them and I meet their parents, I make a promise. And I say, no one's going to jail and no one's dying on my watch. In 21 years, I've had one fatality. In 21 years, the student that I am the most proud of, I started this program, although I live in Harlem, I started this program in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Why I chose to start it in Brownsville? 2 steps back. I wrote this program while I was in prison. I had read, it was in solitary confinement. I got into a knife fight, stabbing another guy. He stabbing me like we crazy. And I was in solitary confinement for a very, very, very long time. And I had read maybe about 40 or 50 books. And the last book on the cart was a self-help book. And in the worksheet, there was a question. If you could design an effective reentry program, what would it look like? Ms. Diaz, it took me 2 years to answer that one question. I came home from prison. Most people come home with pictures and everything else. I came home with a duffel bag full of notepads with all my thoughts in it. And came home and immediately went to school. And 21 years later, we have graphics. Yes, I target kids. You know why I target kids? Because kids that shoot other kids target kids. I don't coddle kids. I don't, and I'm sorry, I'm like this with my staff. I'm not one of those individuals. And as you can see, the reason why I'm passionate about this work, Ms. Diaz, in the 80s, in the 90s, you did hear me say, you're looking at one of the people in Washington Projects in the D that made thousands of dollars in that D and figured out a way to identify the bus driver in Greyhound that was the crackhead, that was a functional crackhead. And I rode the bus from New York City to the Midwest, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, taking drug money to the flea market to buy hundreds of pistols to give them to the bus driver to put them in his compartment to get them back to the city. You're looking at the person that took that money and turned it into kilos of cocaine to sell to the community. I could have taken MBA, I could have taken all this education and I could have been on Wall Street. But my grandmother said, you make a mess, you got to clean it up. So the kids that are riding on the train today, on the top of the train today, the kids that are shooting other kids today, Ms. Diaz, those are my crack babies. Those are my crack babies. And so I created this program to try to do something about it. So yes, I don't mean to be abrasive. I target kids because kids who shoot kids target kids.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your words. I do appreciate and I truly do respect your transparency when you're speaking. I am a mom of 3, and I like I said, that's why I said I personally do not like the word target children because, you know, our children are just special and, you know, they can be, if having the right support, they can be anything they want to be. You know, that's just, again, my personal opinion because I am a mother. You know, I'm a mother first, period.
No, I get it. I get it. I understand. Like there's nothing in the world more beautiful than the love for a mother and her children. And keep in mind, I grew up in El Barrio in a time when we didn't lock our doors. Okay, but let me just point, I know other people have questions. Let me just point you to something that looks like this. I'm gonna point you to something, a recent study, a white paper that I just read. The Department of Justice issued some funding, and the funding was for a program. It's called GREAT, G-R-E-A-T. They interviewed almost 6,000 children from 6 different states that had gang ties. 100% of the children that admitted to being in gangs, of that 100%, it may have been about close to 5,000 kids. Of the 100% of children that identified as being in a gang, 96% of them said they enrolled into a gang because of bullying. We have become so sensitive in communities with bullying that we allowed a bully to take over the White House right under our nose. So listen, yeah, I'm just, this is when I made the decision to stay in Harlem and to stay in Spanish Harlem, it was because my grandmother said to me, I asked God when I was in prison to let me get home in enough time for her to see me make something out of myself before she died. She got a chance to see Dr. Kai. I spent 14 years with her out of prison before she died. And she said this to me. She said, little boy, you can't get out of this work because you asked God to do something for you and he did it. How do you know that what you're doing right now with these kids is not the favor that God is asking you to repay for what he did for you? So I'm stuck and people don't like me. Guess what? Look behind me. I get results. And I don't say this arrogantly. Go into Google and put who is Dr. Kai Smith and see my work out of my pocket around the country. So I understand the sentiment with targeting. I understand it. But I deal with children that shoot other children in the head because they are more afraid of the gang leader than they are of the police.
You speak truth. I appreciate your passion. I always believe in giving kids reality and truth too. Nurture when they need to be nurtured. But you know what? In my 43 years working with children's aid, I pride myself, in being honest with kids about what's real life, because I'm not helping prepare you if I'm giving you some fantasy that ain't real and I'm not preparing you for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta be straight up with them. Sometimes you gotta be like, look, you could do something. We've seen you do good things. I don't know why you're acting like this right now.
And that's
Like,
what
you gotta be straight up with them because
and Asher, that's why I'm here. This young entrepreneurs program says, I believe in you. When society says that they don't believe in you because they call you one of the drivers of violence, I'm saying either you're going to be the bag or you're going to get the bag. How are you being the bag? You're being the bag when you commit a crime and you go to prison and allow a small town upstate to get the census dollars off of your residency that's supposed to come to your community. Everything that you are doing from the time that they put the handcuffs on you is a continued detriment to your community. So either you're going to be the bag or you're going to let me teach you how to own a small business so you can get the bag.
Isaac, let me stop.
yeah,
Yes.
I was about to say.
No, this is good. I'm listening. I appreciate everyone's comment. Everyone, I love it. this is I appreciate hearing your passion, Dr. Smith. I did actually do what you said and went up and Googled your work so I could read about it as I listened to you speak about it. I think also what may not be present in this presentation that would be beneficial for community board members to know is the extensive team you have supporting you. I see a lot of folks here on your team page. So that goes a long way into the capacity of what you've been able to do for all of these years. I wanted to I want to two things. One was I would love it if you just put your information in the chat so we could connect with you. I personally want to connect with you because we work with young people and adults who are justice involved, and a lot of the work we're doing in East Harlem on 116th Street is similar to you. And I think that there's a lot of support we could provide you with respects to partnering with organizations. So yeah, I can follow up with you on the email with that. But the other thing was I wanted to just ask you a clarifying question on the purpose of. Yeah, I'm on the phone, bro. Come on, Isaac. Sorry, y'all. I wanted to ask a question with respects to the purpose of the letter of support. Now, if I'm correct, you said that most of the money you guys make or how you make money and support the program is through contracting work with DOE or different educational departments.
Right.
So the letter of support is to help you to secure grant funding, and that first is with the DOJ.
Right. So, I went to Black Caucus and I went to Somos Caucus and, did presentations, and people love this work. And I maybe my grandmother in heaven and she's telling gangbangers to listen to me. I don't know. I've never been in a gang a day in my life. Here's the thing. With the 21 years that I've been doing this and the places around the country that I've done it, I am not the program that can accept $10,000 from an elected official, and it's not going to do anything for me. $10,000 is what you give to somebody that is just starting out and they're trying to, make their bones or whatever. I've been doing this for 21 years. Every college degree that I have is graphics. From the notepads coming home from prison to this JD that I'm getting ready to do is graphics, right? The letter of support, I need a letter of support from I am targeting every community borough in the 5 boroughs because my work has touched all of the community or all the communities in the 5 boroughs. And if you look, we do work from Niagara Falls all the way to Staten Island. The goal, Isaac, is this: to create an appendices in my proposal where when DOJ gets it and read it, they go, how can we not give this guy 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever amount of money that's in whatever gang diversion a budget that they have that we request? How can we not give this guy what he needs because he's exhausted every remedy to prove that this program is worth replicating?
Yeah, so I totally get that strategy. That's a great strategy. That's the strategy you should apply. I think that's perfect. I wonder, and I wonder, to what extent are you going to be able to really hold true to a lot of the partnerships that you are trying to build in East Harlem and other places, period, if a lot of them are just for the sake of just getting numbers for the proposal, and I'm not so much saying that that's just the intent to just get be able to tally up names of partners, but to what extent are you going to be able to really hold partnerships with different organizations?
Same way I've done it for the last 21 years. If you go to the website and you look at galleries, there are 2 galleries there, and the footnote, the head note in the galleries page, it said something along the lines of, I approached an elected official one time for some funding, and this elected official said to me, I don't know who you are. It's like you don't exist. I wonder if you're really doing the work. And the 2 galleries that I have there is 21 years worth of work. So you got to keep in mind.
So I guess what
you got to keep in mind, good brother. We're talking about the drivers of shooting. The drivers. Every community has 5, 3, 4, 2. Some communities have 1.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're marching and getting people to march to do, we're going after the drivers. We are port of exit. We don't do violence interruption. We're in middle schools and in high schools, plugging the leak so that nothing comes out on the other end.
I guess my question, I get that, and I'm not questioning the purpose of the work and the efficacy of it. I'm more like simultaneously, how many schools are you working with at one time? You know, how many active partnerships are you able to have like at one time with respects to the number that you are trying to propose to DOJ for, you know, within your proposal for your partnerships? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make
Okay.
sense. And it does make sense, and it's a very good question. But, you know, when funding comes down, when you go after funding, you're definitely not going to get funding from the United States Department of Justice and all of the entities that are connected to DOJ by shucking and jiving or whatever. It will be based upon realistic expectations.
No doubt.
And we'll say in replication, they will start out, and I'm just paraphrasing, start out with something like this. Okay, so we're going to give you X amount of dollars to hire and train X number of staff, to bring the staff, you know, to do this, to provide this work in your city. And I'll give you a reality that's even better. Mayor Eric Adams just recently there's an organization that Mayor de Blasio gave $12 million to, and the executive director of that organization misappropriated $2 million of the 12. And before de Blasio left office, he gave him another $3 million. And then Eric Adams came into office and gave that same organization 87 schools. So that's why I'm going to DOJ. If we can take what we have and replicate it in 2 or 3 schools, or use the data that we already have, the goal is to have this model replicated around the state. So I have to rely on those individuals with expertise greater than mine to figure out how it's going to look on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, but brother, I can only bring what I have.
No, thank you for your answer. Thank you for your thank you for your work too. Thank you very much.
So Ash, before you go, I just want to acknowledge, and I'm going to share the screen. See, sometimes it's a small world. So some of the pictures, I pulled up the gallery too with the pictures with Dinkins. And that's at the center I'm waiting to rebuild the new center at East Harlem. So, you know, sometimes it is a small world in the work. So in the picture over here that I'm sharing on the screen, that's the East Harlem Center. Was closed since 2018. There's one of our board members in the middle screen there sitting. That's John Green, who's on the screen with us here tonight as well. I remember that event because I was hosting it. You see the little children's aid sign behind Dinkins. So, you know, sometimes we come full circle to where we've been and where we are. And Dr. Smith, and we have to give you that title and respect as you've earned it and have not put it up there as many people do. You know, I think this is something worth us as a community exploring more and how we can find avenues to support. So, yeah, I remember those things, those mats when we took them off the walls, and that building's getting ready to be torn down. So we're be a part of a new building in a new complex. So much kudos, Dr. Smith. Much kudos.
I appreciate that.
Ash, and then Claudia.
Well, yeah, if y'all would just give me a couple minutes because I promise there's a question followed up with what I'm saying. I know because it kind of triggered something in me when you mentioned like the train surfing thing. So not many people know this about me, but I used to hang out in the trains. There's like a whole community of like kids, teenagers who run around on the trains. I'm not sure if you know about that. And it has recently, I haven't done it in years, but like recently it has become to a point where it's almost like gang-like in a way. Every time I open my phone, I'm seeing videos of these kids jumping each other. And I just want people to like envision how problematic that is because it's usually really young kids. Like I was out there doing this when I was 14. So like, and it's 14-year-olds hanging out with like 20-something-year-olds. It's crazy. And a lot of these kids do have special needs. because I went to a special education middle school, and a lot of the kids from my middle school used to hang out. It's like on the weekends, people just hang out on the trains and stuff like that with no supervision. I just think that like that's a community you also should target, because I know at least like 5 people from that community who like dropped out of high school without a trace over the pandemic and stuff like that. So I know it's like going into schools and stuff like that, but yeah, and I personally know the kid who like on the Williamsburg Bridge he fell off. I know him that well, but I knew him like in passing. He was a really nice kid, but the thing was he just got in with the wrong crowd. So that's truly a tragic story, because he literally he was 15. He was pressured to go on top of that train. Not saying like given, but you know what I mean. So
No,
that's just
I get it. I mean, and what as adults, what we don't understand, I say this often when I speak, I say, what we often don't understand is we have to be very careful in this regard when we deal with kids, because as adults, we secure a certain level of education and we secure a certain level of lived experiences. And then that makes us feel like when we want to do something for children, we have to be very careful that the thing that we want to do for them is not something that we wanted when we was kids, as opposed to asking them what they want now and building the resource, using the resources to build around what they want right now. We gotta be very, very careful of that. And we're not, what I'm noticing is that we're not having conversations with young people, probably because a lot of us are scared of them because they're kind of like loose cannons, right? And that's primarily because a lot of parents today want to be their child's best friend. My grandmother didn't want to be my best friend. Like before Osama bin Laden, it was Osama bin Lucille. So there was no friends, right? So and look at me, I turned out okay after all of that prison time. So kids want discipline, but Frederick Douglass said kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And once they know how much you care, they will give you a part of them that you can see when the light bulb goes off. You can see it. You know what I mean? So we have to do more, but the more we do in 2023 can't look like the more we did in 2022. So yeah, I definitely know that the trained population is, look guys, we're living in a society where 2 months ago, a teacher was shot in the back of the head. And look how that was in the newspaper for that long.
yeah.
This is the society we're living in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My specific question is, because I said that this is like this specific population, I'm just like thinking of like all the people you could come and count, and you can English is hard. Was it I know you have like social workers and psychiatrists on your team and psychotherapists. Like I looked at your staff list on your website. My thing is, with this specific population, they might need a lot more than what you're necessarily providing. So my thing is, how are you able to refer them out or something like that? Because they might need, like, especially if they're not in school, they're not receiving like services they would have received through like an IEP and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right. So I have something like 24 LMSWs, 4 LCSWs, 2 PhDs. I have a woman on my team that her job is to prescribe medication, right? Like if you go on it, Mary Ellen, her job is to, if it gets to that level. So in designing this program and put it together, I wanted not to say that my therapist prescribes medication, because I'm 1000% against pills and all that other stuff. I don't do it myself, so I don't. However, I wanted to have someone on the team that if a child sat in front of an MSW and the MSW made the determination that this exceeded his or her experience, that child gets pushed to the LMSW. If the LMSW makes the determination that the child's needs exceeds her professional expertise, that child sits with an LCSW, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
Externally, we also partner and build relationships with community-based organizations that we can make referrals to.
my things I'm thinking like specifically like occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, like you're thinking. I think yeah.
If there's a need, it's against the law for a licensed clinician to see that a child has a need and not make a referral. You could lose your license for that, right? So if a licensed therapist sits with a child and sees that that child has a specific need, it's that therapist's obligation. It's not like they can say, well, we don't have that in-house, so I'm not gonna make the referral. It's that therapist's job to get on the phone and find a space for that child to receive services externally.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Claudia, you've been waiting patiently, so thank you so much. Please, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me, I'm outside. We have deliveries late tonight. I just want to commend you, Kai. They've been raving about you in Albany. You're a pretty hot topic on the NYCHA front right now. I just wanted to say that I personally do know this brother here, and he is a product of Washington Houses. And one of the best things to see is that, you know, he's from the community. He did some wrongdoings and he made the best of a situation of where we all know that society could break us down from. So this brother right here, I just want y'all to know that he's genuine and he's not in it for profit. He's here for the real deal, for the children. You know, it's very rare that we see a lot of our brothers and sisters that come out and dedicate themselves and are open. That's what I do want to commend you about, Dr. Kai, is that, you know, you are open about your situation and where you come from, and you don't back down, you know, and kudos to you for knocking down those doors and sticking with it. So I just wanted everybody on this board to know that I truly support your program. And like I said, you're a hot topic on the NYCHA panel, and we want to know basically what we can do and how we can partner with you, you know, because we do have as resident leaders a source of funding that we can utilize for resident services, you know, and again, I just want to commend you and thank you for bringing this out to the community. And guys, he's the real thing, even though there's some stuff that we have to work out and talk about, but this brother right here, I very rarely do put my name behind people, and he's very genuine, and I just needed y'all to know that. Thank you, and I give you back the floor.
Yeah, so thank you, Claudia. I definitely appreciate that. If you know, I'm a very think outside of the box kind of person. You know, and when it comes to kids, you know, I made a promise, no child is gonna die or go to prison on my watch. I will say this, if NYCHA does have a pocket of funding that they are interested in using for resident services, what would it look like, right? David, remember NYCHA Houses, Rosa, when the cheese was in the tenant patrol room?
Yep.
What would it look like if we took that tenant patrol room, used that funding to put a licensed clinician in each tenant patrol room for a couple of hours, where all you had to do if you needed to talk to somebody was get on the elevator and come down to the first floor like you was getting your cheese. Let's talk about it.
You know what? We have enough in little community centers and on NYCHA facilities. How do we access them, right? For this particular ask that you're doing. Yeah, I think, you know, and Claudia, I don't know if you're finished and I don't want to cut you, but I think, you know, even one of the things you asked is like Rosa said, come here and be here. Come to the Human Service Consortium. come to every committee meeting and make sure you hit the full board as well, because there's different pockets of people that all attend these different meetings. And that's how, you selling yourself on your passion. One time somebody said, oh yeah, he's just passionate. But you know what? Passion gets stuff done, right? Passion is the thing that drives us when we feel so strongly about things. And I think of it too, I could have done other things. Working at Children's Aid for 43 years is a devotion to making improvements in my own community where I grew up at Frederick Douglass on the west side, and now in East Harlem where my mother grew up in the 30s and her grandmother came here at the turn of the century. 1800 century. So, East Harlem was something I did not fully understand the enrichment of the community. All I knew is, yo, don't walk down this block because I'm from the west side or you're going to get jumped, right? And this is the 60s and 70s, just like you're saying, how much has changed. And I think right now we have to try innovative new things to open up those doors so we service the kids. See, as you're talking about, I need you to come service my after school staff that work with these children in these groups. That's who needs that, some of the training. I really would like to talk to you about how we incorporate maybe that with some of my school staff that, have their own challenges, come from the communities that we live. But, COVID has also set them back in different ways. And expectations of where young people are, I think we need to create the space so that we're not targeting the kids that, well, it is. See, I'm like you. Give me the roughnecks. So give me the ones that are the most challenging. And those are the most rewards. Sometimes you see in them, and like you said, turn them into entrepreneurs, turn them into business. The hustle game, right? If you legalize it, it's no different than the real game, right? So,
What happens, David? What happens when the kid in the school that everyone's afraid of? What happens when that kid falls in love with a teacher or falls in love with a topic, and someone pays attention to that kid? That kid goes from being the school bully to the school's protector.
Yep.
And can't nobody come to the school to do nothing. Can't nobody come, it's, so I don't have children of my own, but I love children to death. And this is why you see this team behind me and you look at the gallery and you see what I do everywhere I go. Right. But I
one of the things you said sparked a quote of me: show interest in that child when you want nothing from them, and you'll be surprised at what they give you in return.
Yeah,
man. And that's one I wrote down because I love quotes, because I think there's so much meaning. And for kids, you give them a little, see, sometimes learning don't have to be hours. Sometimes the learning is in the moment for that minute where you help move somebody on, right? And that's what I always say. When that kid comes through the door, talk to them, show it, find out what their thing is, and then use it to get them involved in what you need them involved in, so that they do reach their potential.
They'll surprise you sometimes. I said they'll surprise you sometimes.
Yes, you're still surprising me. Like you're 9 years, and I've been working with Ash for 10 years now, and has been an active member. And I'm looking to step down as the leader of this committee and open the door for the young person that I've mentored to take that leadership role. Because sometimes as leaders, we stick in our position too long and don't cultivate the next generation. And what I see you doing is cultivating the next generation of this community, where you so graciously said you harmed. And you know what? I commend you. And the more I was listening to this in the beginning, okay, we got to put this off. We'll vote on it next month, because sometimes we need to research more. But Claudia coming on, you speaking truth to power and speaking honesty, those things all have an important role in my development and how I go forward in working with this community and youth to make it better. So yeah, I would definitely love to speak to you about furthering the opportunities that we have in East Harlem for our youth.
Okay.
Angela, please. I'm sorry.
So I might have missed some things, but I just want to get a basic understanding. There's a fee structure to your program, or is your program free?
Nothing in this world is free. I'm doing
Absolutely.
I'm doing the course in the community.
So this is a training that people can purchase.
No.
At what cost?
I'm doing the course in the community free of charge.
Okay.
Because I'm hoping that the course will attract the drivers of violence so that we can reduce the guaranteed numbers that we're going to see for 2023 summer.
Okay, so the reason I asked that, because the request letter that I read that was sent to the community board, you're asking for a space to utilize.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want them to create the children that going to go to it, the 25 to 30 children that's in that letter, right? That's part of it. Then you ask for promotion on the part of us throughout. So we're advertising for your program and the last thing, maybe two last things, formal introductions to the various community partnerships that can support what your dynamic is. Then you mentioned later, just a few minutes ago, the fact that if there was this funding money, you should put a counselor in every NYCHA tenant association room. So I see, although this might be for the greater good, there's still a financial aspect to this. Are you funded by any outside sources?
Miss Donadell, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
I don't think that, and anybody can please chime in. I don't think that the majority of people on the panel received that the way that you received it. Because in my request, it's clear when you, from an operational perspective, if you measure what I'm doing against what I'm asking for, if I stop one child from getting shot on the east side, mission accomplished. One.
Again, there are other programs as well. And I read what you put out. I read what you put in the request letter. I went to your website and read about what you do. I looked it up. I Googled you during the process. So I'm asking, how do you get paid to do this? Everybody needs to pay their rent. So you're not doing this just completely out of benevolence of your heart. And there is a fee structure. And I think Rosa said something about like pointing out particular children to say these are the bad children. We should never identify our children in that way. I just have a lot of questions about if you're doing this as a business, a nonprofit, because everybody has to generate income to run, then that's fine. Put together a fee structure, come in and tell us. But you're asking the community board in that letter request a big ask from us that all, as a person that has done organizing, everything you're asking us to do is everything I would have to do to organize something. So you're asking us, you're coming to tell us you got this great program and can you organize a place and put it all together for me, and then I'm gonna come in and do it. And let's hope there's some funding or support for the incentives. I understand that. That's what funding is for. People go to you, if this program is what you say, right? The government should pick you up. So is there a particular reason you don't want to try to get funding through the regular sources like the district attorney's office or the mayor's office or something? This community is struggling. We need people, yes, that's true to the cause. I understand that you grew up here, so you have a better understanding. And I believe in the principle of people coming back to help the ones that's behind, because you have an integral connection to everything that is taking place. But when you come and you talk and your ask letter is asking kind of for us to kind of find a way for you to bring it to the schools, you're asking us to do the work.
So here's the thing. Let me, and I don't wanna, if you know, I think that and this is no, I think that if we did a, Miss Donadell, I think that if we did a thought survey, I don't think very many people would agree with what you said from your community board. Secondly.
Doesn't matter. That's how I think. I'm on this board, and there may be others in the community that think like me. That's why we're all here, because we all have different experiences and perspectives. Now, I do social service work, but my degree was in business. And I know business when I look at a business contract. Thank you.
Secondly, Ms. Donadell, secondly, I think that in the first, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think in the first 3 minutes of my presentation, I stated why I was doing this. And I said that irregardless of whether you gave me this letter or not, the work is going to get done because I've been doing it for 21 years, independent of Community Board 11, Ms. Donadell. There is nothing in my request letter, okay? The request letter is asking for the community board to do what the community board does, right? That's what I'm asking from the community board. I didn't come to the community board to ask for funding, Ms. Donadell. One of the community board members who has relationships and may work with NYCHA, the TA president, Ms. Claudia Perez, at the end of her presentation, she suggested that there may be some funding available at NYCHA for tenant-related matters. And I said, and I could have said, okay, so let's see what that funding looks like and how we can do whatever. Her statement was there may be funding available for tenant-related issues. My response was, if there is funding available for tenant-related issues, what would it look like if a therapist was put in the tenant patrol room of each building so that people in need can come down and talk to the therapist? Therapists get paid hourly. That may be $30 an hour. That may be $300 for a day. But let's just put that on a scale. Show me anyone in the history of NYCHA, Ms. Donadell, in the history of NYCHA, I'm talking about from the very first brick, that has ever come to a community board, from the very first community board, to say, what would it look like if we put a therapist in the building? If
That's
you
a
do have funding,
conversation that would be had between NYCHA developments and their social service department, but not necessarily us on the community board. And your request letter is asking for a lot, but I digress. I'm gonna chair or
I think, you know,
release my time.
well, no, Angela, I'm not trying to not give you space. I think sometimes we can get to opposite ends and not begin to get back into the middle of where we need to belong with this. You know, yes, I think sometimes now I even have to say myself when I refer to youth to not say targeting youth or this, but maybe youth with challenge, whatever pronoun or whatever that we assign sometimes is not the heart of the work. And, you know, too often I'll say this, programs go in and want to highlight all the kids that come every time and do good. You know, that's not maybe the whole population that we work with as well. And how do we move those kids to be those other kids? The ones that we, you know, too often it's like the same kids get the benefits of the good things in the community because we're not spending enough time or putting that interest into the kids that may be needed. But how do we identify those kids? You know, what he said, without saying targeting kids, the kids that all the teachers have challenges working with, I can name in the school I'm in, and so can most of the staff. But you know what? They need help and skills to help reach those kids so they're not the targeted kids. And
see, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because if there is a shooting and a child dies, or if there is a gang war in the projects and people don't feel safe, you want NYPD to target the individuals that are doing the shooting and get them out of the community so you can feel safe. I'm not promoting incarceration. I have a reentry program, but I'm not backing down from what I do because I've been successful at doing it 20 years. I target kids that shoot other kids, and I'm not backing down from that. Yes, I target kids that shoot other kids because when you make the decision to pick up a gun, the first time you point a gun at someone and you see the fear on the other end of that gun and the power that you feel when it's in your hand and you point it, it becomes addictive. And that kind of aggression does not need coddling. That's why we have LMSWs. And when you graduate to your LCSW and your PhD, there is thousands, hundreds of thousands of white papers from universally recognized educational institutions to support everything that I'm saying. So I don't get involved with the words. Some people say they're not a gang, they're a crew until the kid is dead. Go tell the parent, go tell the mother while she's looking at her child in the casket that a gang didn't kill her child. So I don't mean any harm.
I'm not
I don't get involved with that.
anything that you're doing. I just asked you, what was your fee structure? That's basically what my question was.
And I said in the first, Miss Donna Dow, David, please, Rosa, correct me if I'm wrong. I said for 21 years, and it's on my website, not a single elected official or whomever has given me any money. I've done it out of my pocket. And I said the primary reason why I don't get the funding is because in the beginning, when everyone ran toward David Slutkin's ceasefire model, when he declared gun violence as a public health crisis, I didn't believe in that model, and I did think that it was going to work. And Chicago, with 155 shootings every weekend, proves that that doesn't work. So I decided to create my own model. So they're not going to give me the funding to go against what they're already supporting. So I decided to do it myself, and I invested 21 years into it. That's my fee structure.
Thank you.
Isaac, I saw that you had your hand up earlier. I didn't know if you wanted to come back with a question.
Not really. It was not really. I think we're good. I don't want to take us back there.
Well, we might have to go back there as Dr.
I'm here.
No, it was okay. So the question was more towards like, so your organization has the capacity to go into schools and give trainings to teachers and people who work with young people, even young people who are at risk, correct?
That's one of the modules that we offer.
That's one of the things you offer. So that's why I wanted to ask about that, because that does seem like, and that's something that you would, yes, so you would do that as a subcontractor, come in and give those trainings, correct? Yeah, and
when we go into schools, when we and to make sure that all of the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, I outsource 100% of my finances to H&R Block. Why? Because it is a globally recognized financial institution, so I don't have to worry about a T being not crossed or I not being dotted. When we subcontract with ACS and DYCD, I've had staff on Rikers Island. When we get funding for specific contracts, I pay the staff that I hire to go in to do the work. And almost probably about 85% of the money goes right back into the program. I have 6 college degrees. I make a very decent income.
So let me ask you a question. So with respects to what you just said, so would there be opportunities for you to, if you were to get a larger contract from an organization to come in and work with them, would there be an opportunity for you to then outsource some of those subcontracts for facilitators to people in that local community?
We do that.
That's pretty much how you work, right?
100% of the time. We're in the process of negotiating something with Buffalo school system, all of the middle schools and all of the high schools. And I said to the gentleman that's responsible for this project, it's going to take a little while to build it out because I can't bring therapists from New York, and that's the drug game all over again. When you get drugs and you go to somebody else's town and you're selling drugs in their town and they mad, and so that's that all over again. When we go into a community, listen to me, good brother. Brownsville, Brooklyn, and the South Bronx and Spanish Harlem is 3 entirely different communities. In the first 5 minutes of this presentation, I said, when we go into a school, we tailor the services for that school. The curriculum for Brownsville does not look like the curriculum for the South Bronx, and it does not look like the curriculum for Spanish Harlem because they're 3 entirely different communities. someone in the chat said, are we vendors to New York City Department of Education? Yes, yes, ma'am. We've been vendors for 17 years.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Copy, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, that was what I wanted to see. I just pointed it because it sounded like an additional resource, because a lot of folks a lot of agencies need that sort of training, so it's good that you are a vendor. Yeah, I definitely want to connect with you, because I think since you're already a vendor, there's, I know of some schools that could really use your services, so that's cool. Yeah.
And I mean, I can't invite all of you, but God moves in mysterious ways. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Can I share something with you guys? Can you see that? Can you guys see what I just shared?
Yes.
Now, maybe one or two, not the whole crew. This is the flyer. So Urban Assembly School for Global Commerce on 128th Street, right across the street from where the shooting happened today. On March 23rd, from 7th and 8th period, I'm doing a demonstration in the school of my program, because we're getting ready to sign a contract with the school. Now, mind you, I could have already signed the contract, because principals want us based on the history of what we've done. But I say to all principals, I don't want your pity. Bring me in, identify your worst of the worst. Let me deliver what the program will look like. You see how the kids respond, and then we talk from there. I could have taken the money and said, I got it. This is the flyer for what's going on March 21st. I spoke to Chancellor David Banks. He said there's probably a 70% chance that he'll show up. I presented this at the Black Caucus and Somos. Eddie Gibbs will be there. Like individuals, and mind you, I'm calling these names. I said in the beginning, David, I hate name dropping. I hate it, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not even asking them for money, because as I said in the beginning, they can't give me the kind of money that I need to replicate this program at the national level. I've been doing this work for 21 years. There is no gang diversion program in New York State that has been in operation 21 years that has taken, as I said in the beginning, anger management, anger replacement therapy, and gang diversion, curriculumized it, and put it in middle schools and high schools as a 2-credit elective. I put Puerto Rican children in front of Puerto Rican therapists, Dominican children in front of Dominican therapists, Black children in front of Black therapists. Why? So that you can't say, you don't know me, you don't know my lifestyle, you don't know what I come from, you don't know what it feels like to be. My therapists come from the same projects you come from. Does that make sense, brother Scott?
Man, you good with me, big brother. You good. I appreciate you. I'm hoping that we could get to the point where we could put a motion on the floor so we can move forward with the meeting. And also drop your information in the chat for everybody, man.
I do have to say, we've had some very good conversations tonight in both presentations. And because of the time, we should begin to move on. So, Reverend Scott, I'm not sure, initially, and I'll be honest too, Dr. Smith, I said, wow, he is asking for a lot in this, but let's hear him out. And usually sometimes what we do is we may not vote on it the specific night. We might wait till the following month, just so that people could feel that they can do their due diligence and research. No.
David, don't vote. Send somebody. I don't want nobody's pity.
No.
Send somebody on the 23rd and we can reconvene next month. Send somebody on the 23rd to see what I'm talking about. Make me prove to you what I'm talking about. I don't want nobody's charity.
I think
what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry to just jump in, but with respects to like some of the kind of conversation we was having yesterday at Human Services, I think it would be if Dr. Kai is willing to hold off and allow someone to come visit and see it for themselves. I think it holds a lot of weight, because folks will vote, because it seems good or it's inspirational. But if someone who may be a non-believer can get into the room and see it, I think that'll be all the more powerful. It doesn't seem like there's that much of a sense of urgency where he needs it today. I think if you're very willing to do that, I think that may be a good opportunity. You know, yeah, maybe Miss Donadale may want to go.
100%. Whoever, come through.
I'm sorry. Beverly Babone has had her hand up for a while in the chat.
Beverly is on the board, but not on this committee. That's why we're not seeing her, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I gave her talking permission if that's
Beverly, please. Beverly, you there?
I can't hear her.
The hand went down. Beverly, oh, maybe not.
Thank you, Chair. David, thank you, Mr. Smith, for your presentation. I was at the meeting when Dr. Smith did a presentation at safety and transportation. And I was very moved by the program that he is implementing to the communities at large and for the children. I do believe when he was speaking, he was talking about he wished he could have talked regarding when the precincts were talking. So he can talk about the stats of when they were talking about stats and how crime in certain areas was going down. And he made a very brought up a very good point that when does it go up? And he wanted to target that time period when it goes up to put kids in places that will be beneficial to them so they won't be in that group when crime starts to go up during May to September. Although everyone loves the summer, we're kind of afraid of the summer because we know that's when everything kicks off during that time. The children in our communities don't have a lot of options to do anything. Another poignant thing that he spoke of is the entrepreneurship program is just like if they're on the street selling drugs, because if they can run a drug business on the street, only thing they're not doing is paying their taxes, you know. So our people have the tenacity to do the work. It's just it hasn't been there for them to do it. It's been so many blocks against us. One of the reasons I also came to that meeting is to talk to your committee, David, and everyone that was on your meeting about something that I and Jessica Morris have been doing to have a tour of Undesign the Red Line, because this program, this tour shows you that every aspect of our struggles have come with the disinvestment within our community, from housing, not having housing, not being able to have businesses. And so we have failed education, failed health, and everything. And I wanted to invite everyone to come to the tour. I'll try to post it in the chat. That's going to be for next Wednesday, the 22nd and the 29th and on Saturday. But his program, Mr. Smith, is remarkable. Like you're the people who we used to probably ran from when we seen you on the street. So you understand and live that life and turn your life around because you have within you to do it, just like all the rest of our children that when given the opportunity can make those changes. I don't know what programs you've done in the South Bronx, but I understand that you do need a space, and I think any program that's going to teach kids to have a business so early in life help them later on in life. You know, so for that part only, I think it's a very good thing to discuss even further, and all the committees for anyone. In regards to the Ms. Donadella's question about funding, I understood what she was saying. You know, we know you've been doing, as you stated, you've been doing this for over 20 something years. And you're saying that you did, it's coming out of your pocket. So when you just explained that you get contracts to pay for it, that gave me a little bit more, okay, that's where his money is coming from. And it's not coming all out of his pocket, but he's getting city contracts or school contracts to help pay for it. So that's something I'd like to look into even more to understand what your program is and how it's funded. I'm glad that you did put the flyer up. That's right here close to me. I would be definitely trying to go there so I can see you in person and see the presentation that you give to the school on that date. I think this is a great program that can be something that can be replicated once it's really known on how it works out. And I'm looking forward to following your work.
I appreciate that. You know, for those people that are interested, you know, I heard someone say there are many other programs and all of that stuff, but I want to point your attention to this. When NYPD officer, Lord, please forgive me, I forgot this brother's name, got murdered on the east side, on First Ave, on the oh, Jesus, Lord, I forgot that man's name. It'll come to me in a second. When that young brother was unfortunately killed, Channel 11 called me. Go look at YouTube. Channel 11 called me when Mayor de Blasio said that he was going to close programs, close diversion programs, and because of all of this other stuff, Channel 11 called me. And I went on and pushed back the same way I said to Channel 11 at that time, Randolph Holder. I said, I challenge Mayor de Blasio and I challenge Governor Cuomo. Have a conversation with someone like myself, someone that has sold guns, sold drugs, shot people. I've been on the criminal side. I have 6 felonies. I've done 16 years in prison and I came home and I have 6 college degrees. I'm a criminal turned scholar. Don't surround yourself with so many individuals that have education and they don't know the walk. They don't know what it's like to be in our communities. Then you become out of touch. You don't have lived experiences, right? As I said in the beginning, I could have took this education. I could have been on Wall Street, but I decided to come back to my community that I damn near destroyed to teach these babies behind me, as opposed to spending $1,200 on a pair of Yeezys. You could take $1,200 and buy a municipal bond. That's what I came back to teach. So I pushed back and I pushed back hard. You know why I pushed back hard? Because I sat my black ass in a classroom for 17 years to get where I am right now. While everybody else was, you got to excuse me, while everybody else was partying and bullshitting and doing whatever else they was doing with their life, is your life. 6 felonies, I needed 6 college degrees in order for people to take me serious. And from 2003 to right now, I'm in school because I need to get the PhD with the JD. The dean said, Kai, why do you need so much education? I said, you know why I need so much education? Because I need to be the final authority when it comes to them. When it comes to them, I need to be the final authority. When you look me up online, you'll see my testimony online about how my mother was a heroin addict and I watched her sell her body for heroin to feed her arm and not feed me. That's what they're going through. That's what they're going through. That's what they don't want to talk to nobody about. How can you focus on schoolwork when you come into school and you haven't even eaten dinner last night or breakfast this morning? That's what they're talking about. That's what's going on with them. That's why I push hard. I push hard. For them, I go hard. Google me, and I don't say that with any arrogance at all. Please, God, please, I don't. But this is what I do, and I'm only asking you for a letter. And if you tell me no, guess what? Guess what my backup plan is if you say no? Chase Bank already told me that I can use their space. I don't want to have East Side kids traveling to 125th Street because I'm scared they might get shot because that's another gang's territory. That's why I decided to come to you to say, see if we can work something out on the East Side where they're comfortable. So, I mean, if you tell me no for some words on a piece of paper, because it's a lot, it still get done. So again, that's my vulnerability. I give myself to you, and now it's on you to figure out what you want to do. Are you gonna give me the piece of paper? Because if you don't give it to me, it's still gonna get done. And I don't say that arrogantly. I say that because I love the shit out them kids. How many people are gonna look at a child that you don't even know and say, you ain't going to jail and you ain't dying on my watch?
Dr. Smith, you gave us a lot to ponder, a lot to consider, and challenged us in many other ways. So I appreciate that. We only grow when we're challenged or we fail. You know, we don't necessarily always grow from our successes. We're in reward of our successes. My success is seeing other people grow because I've supported them. And I feel that from you as well. So whether we decide tonight or we decide next month.
No, we're not deciding tonight. You're gonna send somebody.
Well, no, wait a minute. Now, this you know you strong and all that, but this is my committee that I supervise, and I'm a resent saying my committee because it ain't my committee. It's community board. East Harlem's committee.
Yo, you know what? You guys got to send somebody, man, because when you send somebody, you know, I can say if you send Rosa or you send somebody, then I can say when I go to Community Board 12 and I go to the Community Board in Washington Heights, I can say, call Community Board 11 and talk to them. And that's what I need this for, man. Like you know, this is, you know, God did a favor for me 21 years ago. I got 6 felonies. I was never supposed to come home from prison. And here I am, Dr. Kai today. So, you know,
I'll share this. I was lucky. I got arrested with a gun with 3 other dudes. And you know what? I was the one that took the rap for it. Luckily, I did not go away. One of them became a correction officer. The other became a cop, and I became a social worker. We all devoted our lives to support and making sure that kids do not end up in the situation that could have damaged our lives. And you know what? I made a whole lot of mistakes along the way as well. But God saved me then. And you know what? All I can do is give back. And so Xavier, our chair's there. You know, I'm glad the most important people are here and stay with this meeting. You know, sometimes, you know, we all go up a mountain, and to get to the top, we may all have to have different challenges of how we get there or different supports. And we need to make sure as a community, we provide those different supports that different kids need. Some kids may respond very well to the program, some may not, but we always have to have that, like you said, plan B. What's the alternative? And you know, the people that all of them put their pictures up on the screen right now, of all people, and I'm getting to know Sage, are all people I've worked with and know that their commitment is in the community. And the challenge is only to make sure that we do it right. And I
love it. I love it. This is how I've gotten from a prison cell to where I am right now. Like, I love the hard conversations. I don't want nobody to believe me, make me prove to you everything that I'm saying. Don't believe a word that I say, make me prove it. No, I'm all for that.
So we have our chair, Xavier. Always have to defer to our chair.
Thank you, David. I'm going to be speaking quietly because the kids are going night-night. Dr. Kai, I'd like to lean in let's, I'll come up. I'll sit. Everyone knows, and Rosa can tell you, David can tell you, I'll go to the spaces. And if I'm gonna throw a name out, I'll walk down these mean streets that Biddy Thomas wrote about. And I will be there. So I'm gonna pop my information. Again, I think everyone's kind of talked about process. And I'm sorry, I was putting the kids down, so I had to step away, and I hope you don't mind that. But I try to be as plugged in as can, but I'm no Gail Brewer, as we know, who's everywhere, everything everywhere all at once. Don't know how she did it, but take a page from the book of Gail. So I'm going to pop my info in the chat, and Dr. Krista De La Cruz also will tell you, we are the cure. And if we only just lean in, and I appreciate your sentiment, because I often talk about having the hard conversations. It will be sticky, and it should be, but say it a different way, say it another way, and that's okay. But if we know our hearts are true, there's no end we can't accomplish. So thank you for being here. Thank you, David, for this is one of my, I can't be biased, but I'm going to be a little bit tonight, one of my happier meetings to be in. So thank you. I'm going to pass it back. I'm going to pop my information directly to you. Rosa, you let me know whatever everyone wants to coordinate. I'm here with you. Okay. Thank you for taking the time, everyone.
Well, I think for the sake of time, this has been a good meeting, although long, but sometimes, like I said, sometimes you only need a moment, but sometimes we really do need time to process and make sure that we, kind of look at all the angles and all the different corners and make sure if there's anything that we, again, need to address or support, and then we make sure that we do a due diligence. So at the request of Dr. Smith, and I can agree with this, that we will invite him back next month as well, at which time we will, at that point, review the information that we've learned in addition to the presentation tonight, and then make an appropriate motion to support the work that Dr. Smith is doing with graphics. And we appreciate you coming here. I'll just say in my last ending in regards to this, that, the center then on 101st Street, I was between Carver and Washington. And one of the worst days I had was when a kid from Carver wanted to play with kids from Washington, and the kids from Carver jumped him because he was playing kids together. And then when the kid came inside and we had him, somebody called the police in the community. Police came in, started questioning the kid. Somebody told the kid's father, yo, your son is at the center up there, he got jumped. Father came up there, said, police, y'all arrested my son? If not, we going outside and we gonna settle this. And he was gonna have his son go out there and fight them kids again. The kid's son came to me the next day and said, Dave, can you speak to my grandma and see if I can go stay down in Amsterdam projects where she lived? Because I got to get away. My dad wanted me to be somebody I'm not. And I think, like you said, fear. I've seen in my life kids get killed out of fear. Not necessarily I want to hurt somebody, but out of the fear of what may happen to me that I'm shooting somebody else. So, that was a real story. I mean, I've had kids from Washington and Carver kids playing there, and they throwing the bricks because you're on the wrong side of the avenue. And yet I served both of those projects, right? So inside we got along, but sometimes the community and the streets did not allow those kids to be in that safe space. So, I think we should make sure we do our due diligence this week and in the next few weeks. Dr. Smith does not want any charity, and we ain't giving him none. But again, I'm about being real. I'm not about BSing people. That's not a game I want to play. Isaac, is there any last thing that you want to say or contribute? Please do. Isaac was also a young person I worked with in the 90s at Children's Aid. So, community is deep, and those that are touched come back around.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Dave. Yep, I went along the same line as Dr. Kai and got myself incarcerated for a long time, and another victory story like yours. So I appreciate the work you're doing, big brother. My question was to you, Dave. It was more about the letter itself and the language that would be on it. I was wondering would we be drafting it on the floor? Because the letter seems like it may be detailed. So I wonder if there's like a conversation that would take place or some like drafting before the meeting, so we have some language to work with for the next meeting, because I know
Yeah.
everything that he sent was not for the request letter, and some of it is like what we could do as a board.
Well, I think that's a good point. And because has this sparked much conversation on our own committee? You
Mhm.
know, sometimes when they go to the larger board, it takes a life of its own. And I think sometimes, like we said, and this is why we've got into the habit now of generally sometimes waiting a month, just so that people can process it, eat it, and then, you know, regurgitate it and understand what they're voting on as opposed to something coming new. But it also means people need to read the material that's sent out about
Yeah.
what's occurring in meetings, right? So
Yeah.
we are educationally informed to make an informed decision.
Mhm.
With that said, you know, I think there is a little different asks in this particular, because it's asking for support, acknowledgement, space. That maybe we should draft something more than just a standard letter of support that we would send out as a board. And that's something we would have to work on, Isaac. And if you're willing, I'm willing to work with you. We could draft something up based on it, then present it to the committee so that they're actually seeing what we're supporting as opposed to the theory of this.
Yeah,
Hey,
sorry, go for it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I can create a living document with the Youth Services Committee that you all can have access to at any point in time with the Google Drive, and, you know, make inclusions, edits as you see fit, okay?
And Dr. Smith, is there any specific language that, you know, you want us to address in a specific in that manner?
Nope, that's why I said to you, that's why I was transparent and told you exactly what I needed it for. So you guys, you see this screen, there's a lot of, everybody has a genius there. My superpower, I tap into it. Here's what I need the letter for. In the appendices of my ask to DOJ, I need to say to them, I have support from every community board in the city of New York, however, whatever language that I decide to use. And when they turn to look at the appendices, when they read these letters, I want them to say what people are already saying, how in the world is graphics not in the mayor's budget for the 15, 20, $30 million and all of these guys with the megaphones are? How is this guy doing this? And with what support, with what? So that's why I said I understand Ms. Donadell's question, but I addressed it in the beginning because I've done these things so many times. I know people want to know taxes and all that other stuff. I outsource it to H&R Block because I know you ain't gonna get H&R Block to lie about anything. The little side tax dude, they're gonna do whatever they can to find you a couple of extra dollars. That's why I outsource it all. So the government can go straight to H&R Block. You know, so it's, so you put whatever English you want to put into it, that's on you guys. If you feel like the letter that you give me is reflective of what I'm giving you, because if it's not, you got to live with that. I'm coming in the hood to provide a service to, you know, financial freedom is the only way we're going to get out of this gun violence situation. We can't basketball our way out. We can't football our way out. We can't rap music our way out. All that shit done failed. Teaching poor children how to invest into the stock market and things of that nature, like how that's where we go with this.
And, you know,
How to be homeowners at 30 years old and 28 years old. And we're living in a time where people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars by renting out a room for Airbnb. And we need to teach them that. We need to stop being slaves to man, listen, I can keep going on and on, but you guys put the language in it that you feel will be reflective to what I'm prepared to come into the community to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith.
You guys have a good night, man. I love you. I appreciate you. And this is me anyway. If you watch any of them videos on TV, this is me 100%. This is me. I go for these kids, for these little bad dudes behind me. I go hard for them because you can't, David.
I know, I
Mr. De La
know.
Cruz, But
I know what
you
you're
can't
talking
tell
about.
me, you can't tell me that one of them ain't gonna be the next president of the United States. I refuse to believe it.
I think I got the
refuse to
next
believe it.
president right here as my vice chair, see?
So I go hard for them. I go hard for them. So I love you guys. Have a
It
good night.
wasn't that
And
bad, David.
I love you, and I see you. I see the chair on the 23rd. And if anyone has any additional questions, my cell phone number is posted. Please call me. I don't run from any questions. I don't, and you might see me just walking
Well,
around.
that's why we've been doing this for now almost 2 hours, but
Someone put in the chat if you could please share the flyer for the event on the, I think it's the event on the 23rd.
You know what? I'll send it in the email because I have a PDF version and a JPEG version. I'll send it in the email to you guys.
Beverly, I see your hand up. I just want to know.
Oh,
Beverly, or no?
Yes, I just want to, I posted about the flyer. And the other question I was gonna ask is if it was, what other community board has he gone to for this type of letter? But you said you already been to other community boards already?
No, I've done you twice. I got 10 tomorrow. I live in 10.
Oh,
I got
okay.
10, I got 10 tomorrow. I'm going everywhere.
All right.
I'm going everywhere.
All right, thank you.
I'm like Gail Brewer. I go everywhere. Go everywhere. And David.
Okay, on that note, Dr. Smith, we got to move on. So we can,
all right.
My 3 dogs is waiting to go out. So that's another.
All right. Good night, you guys. Good night.
Have a good night. Well, thank you. Thank you everybody for just staying in the space, bearing with the dialogue, and I think, you know, overall and all, our always goal is to get the best for the community, and sometimes it's really worth spending that time. Now, I do want to acknowledge all you wonderful people that do all the announcements and all the updates to have stayed on through this process. I don't want to not have our updates, but I'll ask everybody to just as quick as possible and have a great day. So Dr. Christie, we'll start with our DOE as we always do. And then we'll move
Thank
to the
you everyone for always inviting me to this space. I just want you to know that I always enjoy and appreciate coming. I always learn new things, and I love hearing the voices of the community and the panel as well. So thank you. 2 quick updates for this week. I'm just going to focus on this week. Thursday, we have our district comprehensive education plan rollout. We had our first community conversation back in January, where we watched the Defining Us documentary. Some of you were able to make it. I know Xavier was able to stop by that day. You're welcome to stop by again on Thursday. We're continuing the conversation. Paul Forbes will help facilitate thinking about our identity as a community. So it should be great. And we're also going to do some progress monitoring with the community, just seeing where we are with our district's goals. That's on Thursday at Manhattan Science Center in the library from 9 to 2, but you're always welcome to stop by. The other thing that we're really, really excited about is our ribbon cutting ceremony. Woo, woo, woo. 10 o'clock on Friday. This is probably one of the, oh my gosh, one of the biggest highlights that I've had in a long time, because it's truly a community effort. It's the collective efforts of everyone. I could stay here all night for our many, many hours talking about all of the different people who have contributed to our D4 community boutique. And Rosa can talk more about it, and David as well. And I think Asher even saw the bags. You should stop by too, so you can see what it looks like. We basically have transformed a classroom. Special thanks to Principal Michelle Martinez from the 007 community, into a community boutique, which is like a store where any family of need in our New York City public schools can come and get the supplies that they need. And our ribbon cutting ceremony is on Friday. We have all the supplies that a lot of times you can't get at other places, such as diapers, toiletries, and clothes, the criteria was, would this be an item of clothing that you would wear? And so I will say that the clothes that we did not keep for the boutique, we donated to the Goodwill. We have like a sorting, but I really just want to thank everyone and welcome. And it is for all of our neediest. I want to clarify. Yes, we have over 720 newest New Yorkers. But I just want to clarify that this is for any family of need in our New York City Public Schools. And so, yeah, that's for this week, but there'll be more coming soon. Just so that you're in the loop about what's going on in the city. Saturday is the principals conference. It's a citywide principals conference that the chancellor's hosting. And yeah, that's this week. Thank you, David. And I could say more, but I know it's supposed to be concise, and that's just for this week. We have a lot of great things going on, and I just really, we've had a lot of schools present at the Community Board 11. It's the goal of our district and our community to continue to elevate our young people and to support them in their advocacy. It's like part of our social justice. And so I'm really, really happy to see our young people expressing themselves. I know it's also a goal of our CEC, as Rosa said, where every meeting we start and center ourselves around our youth. And we're going to continue to strengthen those practices and do better. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Christie. Thank you much. Next, we'll have Rosa from CEC 4.
Yes, thank you. I actually going to shrink everything that I had to say because I had a whole page, but David already said just a little bit. Okay, so what we've done from February up to now, we joined the East Harlem Community Partnership Black History Month on Friday, February 24th. And we signed up. When I say we, I mean like District 4 CEC and District 4. We went over there. We signed up a lot of parents. We spoke to what is a CEC, what do we do? And we also gave a couple of swag, like totes, mugs, pencils, etc. And I know some of so we had a couple of families that were seeking financial support. And since I'm in the governance team, right there and then, the new director, Sean Smith, and community organizer, Carolina Juarez, were able to provide those financial support to those families in need who were asylum seeker. And if you're able to join, we have our meeting on March 22nd. It's next Wednesday at 3 p.m. I will send the information just in case to David and the team. Manhattan High School President's Council Candidate Forum was held on Thursday, March 9th at 6 p.m. The recording of all the candidates that attended, it's on learndoe.org on the CEC archives. And the Chancellor's Parent Advisory meeting was held on March 9th. It's via YouTube Live. So if you go to CPAC, like CPAC, you'll be able to see all the recordings for all these months. And I am part of the high school committee, and we wrote 2 letters to the Chancellor asking him and urging the Chancellor to establish a summer bridge program in every single high school. And 2, we passed a resolution to oppose the raising of the New York City charter school cap and in favor of limiting charter costs to the DOE budget and ensuring more oversight and accountability. And please mark your calendars for our next CEC meeting, which is on April 19 in PS 57. I will also send that information again to the team. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you or anyone from here either Thursday or Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you. Now we have Ms. Gina Williams from CEC 5, which also overlaps in our district.
Okay, good evening, all. So let's see, we have a lot of different things going on in CEC5. So I want to start out first with, we have one of our student instructors from PS 197. She'll be retiring, Miss Eileen Delagraph, after 25 years of working in the district. Um, and let's see, we've been having all of our student councils from the various schools come out, and they have been speaking to us and letting us know what their concerns are. And most of the concerns around the board are definitely the technology, the mental health issues that are, sweeping, the city right now, partially because of pandemic, the other part because of all of the violence that is going on. And children are like really over inundated with that, and are requesting to have a lot of assistance. And so our superintendent and the D5 community, Superintendent Sean Davenport and his staff, and the council, we are supporting our students as much as we can. We are having upcoming Frederick Douglass Academy Student Council, and then we are focusing on the foreign language program, the trip to Japan, those highlights, and then PS 129, the global scholars will present as well. And we are discussing a resolution 96 calling on our state of government to legislate the charter school accountability vote, as well as, let's see here, the resolution 97 for the CEC5 administrative assistant vote, because some of the AAs might be going into a union, and so those demographics are going to change. Maybe who will be supervising them? Will it be the CEC presidents, or will it be public school systems superintendent? So we're going to be discussing that. And now we are also revising our bylaws as well. And we are doing a Super Saturday STEM program. And I don't have that date right now, but that is to be announced. But we have made a donation to CEC5 to that particular program. And of course, our liaisons, we have been going out diligently, keeping up with our school visits. I do want to highlight that Dr. Yusef Salam came out and to TMA, was very well received. He spoke about, public safety and the criminal justice and the interaction with youth, police department, and for the youth to diligently understand the Constitution, their rights, what that means, and empowering them to greater heights of excelling, while he gave his story. And I didn't even know, I mean, I know him, but I didn't even know this part, that when he was asked to speak at the trial, if he had anything to say, he had wrote a rap, a clean rap, and what it meant. And from the time when he was picked up all the way to the time when they did the sentencing. And the children were very well engaged with him. And so he's going to go throughout the rest of District 5. And he is welcoming to come to other CECs as well and speak to the middle school and high school students and their families. Also, we highlighted because it's Civic Engagement Week was last week. And so we have been heavily promoting in conjunction with the chancellor, the high school applications for poll workers for children who are 17 and up. And this will have them engage to understand the civic engagement and community service and how important their voices are to vote and to speak out, of course, bipartisan. Nobody was, soliciting, a party, but it is very important for them to understand that process. And then they earn school credits as well. And so, we are working on a disabilities forum. Oh, and I do also want to highlight Principal Kavita from PS 175 had partnered with National Action Network, and this is a community collaborative with D5. And we have been going into the schools with a literacy program to work with principals and staff in ways that we can to help with that. So we have 2 people right now who have went through the fingerprinting process, and then we have others that are pending because that can be a lengthy process. But we have a list of volunteers that are ready, willing, and able to participate to help educate our youth. And of course, NAN is a large international network now for social change. And the district had been very welcoming for the collaboration, and collaboration is also extended to other CECs throughout the city that would be welcoming of that. And that's about the end of my report.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you much. As always, thank you for also sharing in our space. And although D5 is a small part of our community, it does have a great wealth in the northern part of our community. And again, we want to be all inclusive. So now we have Imani, who is our new representative from our district attorney's office. The floor is yours, and thank you again for being patient. I think this is your third meeting with us. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Can you all hear me? Yes, I think so. Thank you, Rose. It's always nice to see you. So I'll keep it very brief. I'm going to be sharing information. I just popped it into the chat about our annual high school internship program. We are accepting applications, and applications will be closing next Wednesday, March 22nd at 5 p.m. So it is a paid internship, and students must be living or attend a school in Manhattan. They must be sophomores, juniors, or seniors and commit to attending the full 6-week program, which begins July 10th and ends around August 25th. During this time, interns will participate Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And they'll be engaging with assistant district attorneys throughout various units in our office, as well as engaging in a lot of other criminal justice related activities, just to give them a better sense of what our office does, and so that we can create partnerships and hopefully pipelines to have, better community engagement within with youth in our community. So interns will be receiving $175 each week of the program, and we are accepting applications through our website link here, but students can also apply via email by emailing highschoolinternship@danny.nyc.gov, and I will be the point of contact for any questions that you all may have. We would really, really, really love to have more students from districts 4 and 5 apply, and it's a great program, so I hope to see some of our familiar faces in our inbox and application portal. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. And I know 2 kids that went through the program many years ago. It's a wonderful opportunity, again, for kids to really learn the different side sometimes that they don't normally see, but our perception is made aware of or educated. And sometimes when you see the other side, you realize how much different we're not sometimes and how much more connected we really can be. So, Imani, thank you so much. Again, I do want to reach out to you to do a team dating thing at at the school that like we did last year. So
Yes, always.
yes.
I'll reach out to
and I
you.
know you reached out to me, so I got to
Yes, yes.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I take ownership. Rosa, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something else? I'm sorry. I might
Yeah,
have
no,
not-
it's okay. It's okay, David. I actually wanted to like quickly comment that I did try to encourage that to my child who is a 10th grader. And he's
Yeah.
like, really, mom? Really?
Well, again, that's why we have to overcome this stigma. And you know, a couple of years ago, we did a project at Children's Aid around Know Your Rights. And you know, it was wonderful. The DA's office let us bring the group down. They got a tour, they got to understand. And then two of the DAs also participated in like a mock trial the kids put on, and it was really great. But what was interesting, the attorneys would not say guilty or not guilty. They could not commit to that. But again, it's a wonderful experience to you know, and I'll just end with this. We have to create opportunities that our kids do not see every day. Because once you see something different, it's something that you can dream and attain. And that's how we have to help them see there's a world beyond the 104th Street projects we live in, or, you know, the neighborhood corner that we don't leave, or our school that we went to middle and elementary and even high school. And, you know, I went 2 miles. I went to middle school, elementary, middle, high school, and undergraduate college from 92nd Street to 59th, because I went to John Jay at 59. So, you know, but those are very different communities in just 2 miles of going down New York City. So again, I don't think youth constructors not here. That does not have to be a continued standing item. They presented, they want to come back and give an update so we could actually take that off, Khalid. My fault for not mentioning that sooner. With that said, unless there's any burning questions, by the time we all get home or whatever, it'll be 10 o'clock. So hopefully we're home. I know Dr. Christie's never home, so she's got to get home. But again, thank you everybody for coming. Look forward to seeing everybody next month and in the other forums. Have a wonderful night. We have to do the adjournment. What is it? The roll call. Yes, the adjournment roll call.
1 second.
Thank you, Khalid. Long meeting, but a good meeting, you know.
Rosa Diaz.
I'm here.
Thank you. Angela Donadell.
Present and good evening.
Thank you. David Giordano.
Present.
John Green.
Out. Let's go Knicks.
Sage Mason.
Here, present.
Thank you. Claudia Perez.
Present. Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Thank you. Isaac Scott.
Present.
Perfect. Russell Schuler.
Present.
Thank you. And that's it, Chair. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you all for bearing with us tonight and sticking this out. It was really a good meeting. A little long, but it was a good meeting. Have a good night all. See you next month.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
It was productive in detail, David. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.